And the drink talking.
And we are live with the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. Thank you for joining me, everybody, here on the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. I'm Eric Holmes, host of the Talk Your Talk Show and the Rick T Podcast. Joining me today, as always, a longtime friend, Jello Rexroad, man. How you doing, brother?
Good of yourself.
I'm good, man. I'm very well, very well. We got people viewing this. We got people chatting. Let's get that chat going. Let's get the views up. Today on the Rick T Podcast, hour one, we're talking NFL, man. From the Miami Dolphins trading the number 3 pick to the trading back into the top 6 pick in the same day, man. Also, who would the Jets rather rock with at quarterback, Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson? And finally, to finish out hour one, where you're finishing out our NFL offseason grades by team. Then in hour two, Jello and myself are going to stay on the NFL topics, but we're going to tell you what players make the biggest impact on their new squads, and also going to shift it over to some of the upcoming players coming into this year's draft and their pro day stats. And to finish off episode 38 on the Rick T Podcast, in hour three, we're taking some more calls and questions from fans and diving back into the stretch of the NBA 2020-2021 season and the final 8 teams in the March Madness tournament. If you're interested in calling or texting into the show live with a question or topic you would like us to discuss, do so at 719-210-3563. Don't be shy. All questions and statements are welcomed. Also, the best call today, just as last week, will win a free Rick T Podcast t-shirt. Huge shout out to EW8445, a.k.a. Eric Sr., for having the best call last week and winning the Rick T Podcast t-shirt. But it gets even better this week. If at any point in the show reach 35 plus viewers, me and Jello are instantly doing a jersey giveaway. So shout it out to your friends, your family. Let's get these views up. Let's get these comments up, and let's get 35 viewers so we can do this jersey giveaway, man. J Money Time, man. Yo, welcome to the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. Big Blue Jay, let's go. Welcome to the Rick T Podcast, episode 38, man. We're going to get right into it. We have a lot going on, man. I'm telling you, a lot going on. But we're going to start off here with the NFL topics. And like I said, we're starting off with the biggest news possible, Jello. Breaking news, the Dolphins are trading the number 3 overall pick to the San Francisco 49ers for the number 12 pick and a 2021 third-round pick. San Francisco's comp pick for the Robert Slay hiring and first-round picks in 2022 and 2023 per sources. Blockbuster deal with massive ramifications for years to come, man. So how did you feel about that when you heard that happen? We all know how it ended up and finished out and stuff like that. But when you heard that the Miami Dolphins traded the number 3 overall pick, Jello, what was going through your mind?
I mean, it was a little surprising just thinking who they could get at that position. But at the same time, in the end of it, what they ended up with the Eagles' number 6 picks. So, I mean, at that point, it worked out because they got extra picks out of their pick and they can still get a player they want because there's not 3 wide receivers that could be taken before the 6 picks. So, I mean, smart by them. Get extra picks and get the player you want. We've seen this happen in years past, so it's not surprising whatsoever.
Oh, yeah, I think it's crazy, though. I like you said, there's no receivers that are going to get drafted, no, or at least not 2 receivers that get drafted in the top 6 picks. It's just not going to happen with what teams need and what teams want and stuff this year. So I agree with you on that. I think it was a very, very smart move from Miami. I think they're just trying to build up picks, trying to just make their team stronger and stronger. And like you said, they're still back in the top 10. You know what I mean? The Dolphins are back in the top 6, and the Eagles have an extra first-round pick next year that could have 3 firsts next year if Carson Wentz is back from the Colts, turn into 1. So basically what that meant is the Dolphins traded from 3 to 12, and then they traded from 12 back to 6 with the Eagles, which is I don't know why necessarily they did that. I feel like they probably could have got the person that they wanted at 12, maybe. I think they're looking for a receiver, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, one of those 3, I believe. But we'll see what they do. You know what I mean? They traded from 3 to 12, from 12 to 6. So I think they got moves, and that made me think, what does San Francisco do? You know what I mean? They're trading from the top 3 pick. There's been rumors of Jimmy G moving on from the franchise and stuff like that. So how do you feel about it, Jello? And the 49ers did not trade up with one quarterback in mind. They traded up because they're good with the options that will be there at number 3 per Adam Schefter, man. So how are you feeling about that?
I mean, they need a quarterback. Obviously, Jimmy G can't stay healthy for them to utilize him like they need to. So, of course, they're going to trade up. Not surprising whatsoever. Give up some extra later round picks you might not need and get the quarterback you do need now. So, I mean, not surprising 49ers did this. But could have seen this coming that they would trade up, especially with the quarterbacks that are there. So, why wait to get to hopefully get the quarterback you want when you can trade up and absolutely get a quarterback you want?
Completely agreed. Well said. Adam Schefter also says 49ers now square in the QB make spot are holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo and have no plans to trade him, man. And then they also said, per source, Jimmy is here to stay. He is our guy this year. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. You know what I mean? There's always people that say, yeah, you know what, you're gonna stay here, you're gonna be our guy, and then draft night hits and it's completely different. Trades are being made, quarterbacks are being drafted. You know what I mean? And everyone's seen the movie Draft Day and stuff like that. Everyone has watched the draft. They know how it works. There's players that slide. There's players that get picked early. I'm so excited to see what the 49ers do. I think the Dolphins and 49ers made this draft extremely exciting this year now. And you know, it's on April 29th, so it's in a couple weeks. And we will be doing a draft show for that one. And I will literally be sitting right here on screen as they take that number 3 overall pick. And I think they take a quarterback. I personally think they go Justin Fields from Ohio State. He has the size. He has, you know, the credential. He has stability. I like Justin Fields in a 49ers uniform, but there's a lot of rumor that they're traded up to number 3 for Mac Jones, or they traded up to number 3 or to try to get a bunch of other stuff. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of other moves that have been made from the 49ers. I think I have this picture right here. Said 49ers have been attempting to move into the top 5 picks for several weeks now, per sources. They've discussed traded up with Dolphins at 3, Falcons at 4, Bengals at 5, and ultimately decided to go as high as they could, per sources. There were no trade talks with the Jets at 2, though. So I don't think they were looking for a Zach Wilson type player, or, you know, they have the ability to get Penei Sewell, but do they need that? I think they need a quarterback a little bit more than that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the Jets are going Sewell. I've said this a bunch now. This whole Dallas trade thing I had thought about, I mean, that really hasn't come to fruition yet. So I think Jets are going Sewell, and I think the Niners knew that. So you don't. Obviously, there's things that happen that we don't know about. But I think it's a big thing at the end of it where why would they trade up to 2 if they know they're not taking a quarterback? So why spend money when you don't need to in that aspect? So when you're already at 3. So I think Jets go receiver or lineman. So I think that leaves the 49ers wide open to get, I mean, it could be Fields, but I think it's Zach Wilson. For some reason, people love him. But a big thing to me is if they take Fields at 3, I think Wilson drops hard. Because a big thing they said about him is he's never had to really work for anything. A lot of it's been handed to him throughout his life. So we'll see how that goes. So if they take Fields, he drops. If they take Wilson at 3, Fields will drop. So we'll see how this goes.
I agree. And my thing with Wilson, and this is nothing against BYU or BYU's football team or, you know, the division that they play in, but their schedule is not as hard as an Ohio State or an Alabama or any other quarterback that's coming out in the draft. So it's like you look at all these quarterbacks that have had competition for 3-4 years, and then you look at Zach Wilson, where it's like this year has been the first real year that his name has popped up. It's a COVID year. They had a really good team, but it's BYU. You know what I mean? I think he's like 5'10", 5'11". So you look at that and you're kind of like, that size at BYU and you want to be the number 2 overall pick. I could be completely wrong. I mean, look at Baker. Baker didn't start off very well. Baker was a smaller quarterback, and look at him now. You know what I mean? He made a real push for the Super Bowl championship last year. So I don't know. I'm not going to necessarily hate on him, but I would love to see Penei Sewell go too. I think that's the best option for the Jets if they're going to protect Sam Darnold in the backfield or protect, you know, the running backs that are coming in or get that team rolling. You know what I mean? If he wants to play with Slay, the coach, the new coach for the New York Jets, that's the guy to play with them. You know what I mean? I don't know if Zach Wilson's the type of guy that's going to go in there and just make a difference instantly in New York. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's a big thing. They poured money into receivers and stuff like this. It looks like they're actually trying to build an offense, but I think they need to stick with Darnold. This is my thing. Darnold could be an amazing quarterback with protection, so you got to protect him, and Sewell's the person to do so. They got Mekhi Becton on the right side. And then you'll have Sewell on the left. So I do like that combination there. So we'll see what they do.
With those two on that old line, that's so beautiful, bro. Like, because Becton is killer. He's huge.
Exactly. And everyone's talking about like Sewell replacing Becton. Nah, not at all.
No.
It's gonna be the 1-2 punch on that side. And if Darnold gets protection, you got receivers to catch the ball. It's lights out. So Slaw's a defensive coach, so I mean he could pick up that defense right now where it stands and take it to the next level.
And we've been saying this for multiple weeks upon multiple weeks, probably since like week 1 or week 2 of the Rick T podcast, man. They need to give these quarterbacks time. And I'm not saying that they haven't gave Sam Darnold time, but Sam Darnold is not a bad quarterback. He just hasn't had anything to work with. You know what I mean? He's not a Tom Brady who can make something out of nothing. He can make Rome out of dirt. He can't do that. He needs some weapons. He needs an O-line to block for him. He needs a coach that has a great mind. He needs some receivers that'll catch the ball. And all that is starting to add up. And I think that last missing piece is a Penei Sewell. You know what I mean? I would love to see it. You know, as much as I love Penei, and I would love to see him drop potentially to 10, which would never freaking happen, but I would love to see it. I hope he goes high, and he deserves to go high. That's a generational talent. That is one player that can come in on this Jets team and make a huge difference, day and night difference.
Oh yeah, he's top 5 because this is my big thing. There's 3 teams in the top 5 that could use a lineman like Swell. You got Jets, you got Falcons, you got Bengals. There's no way he's leaving the top 5 at that point, especially after Burrow's injury. I mean, I'm surprised the Bengals haven't traded up to get him at this point. So I bet they hope he drops to 5 and they can get him, but I highly doubt it makes out of the top 3. So
I hope the Jets, or I hope the Bengals. I hope the Bengals mess up and takes Robert Slater, the offensive line out of like Northwestern. I hope they take him. He's good. He's great. But I hope they like take him first and then let Penei slide low key. Like,
the only reason they take him is if Sewell is gone before their pick. There's no way if Sewell's available to the Bengals take anybody else.
That's very true.
Being a somewhat smart organization nowadays, so we'll see.
Telling you,
offensively, so
Bengals organization, Jets organization. If you guys are watching this, you guys need to take Penei Sewell. He is a killer. He is going to change you guys' team. But I do have this one. Dolphins now have basically turned their former left tackle Laramie Tunsil, who they traded to Houston, into 4 first-round picks and a third-round pick. And if anyone remembers, I remember this because my dad's a huge Dolphins fan. I was in high school, so I was at my dad's house. When he got drafted on draft night, he slid like a round and a half because this picture literally dropped right before draft night of him. Like they were like, dun, 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 and then this picture popped up on the screen. Like someone leaked it and did all kinds of dirty stuff and all kinds of crap. And it was literally him with a gas mask on and all kinds of stuff. And no teams trusted him. He slid until like the 2nd or 3rd round. And it just went crazy. But hey, look at him now. You know what I mean? He was a good offensive lineman, but they turned him into, you know, some first round picks, some other stuff like that. They turned him into some really good stuff. Julie Mae Walton, killing it, nephew. I love seeing you do big things, young man. Thank you, Auntie. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. Couldn't have done it without all my supporters, honestly. I just hear talking. Knowing what I love. I'm talking sports with my boys. And we doing our thing, man. Matt Faraci, the man was supposed to be a top 5 pick. The man was supposed to be a top 5 pick, and then that picture broke, and he just slid, bro. No teams trusted him. The reports on it was that it was old. It was from years ago, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know if I believe it because he's been bouncing around. He's a good offensive lineman. But, man.
He does look a lot smaller and a lot younger in that picture, so who knows at that point.
Dude, the thing about it, do you see there's like a rebel flag in the background?
In the back. I was trying to read what it said on it, but
like this picture is horrible. Like that's a horrible scene to be in. You know what I mean? Like that was just the wrong scenery for you in general.
But it's very common for guys to drop for many different reasons. We've seen it with like Brady Quinn, for example, even Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. There's that thing where one team passes and everyone else is like, well, what's wrong with them? Draft day is a perfect example of why that happens at that point. A team passes on them. They're like, do they know something I don't? Is something wrong with them? And boom, there you go. So who knows? There's always somebody that this happens to. So who knows who it's going to be this year, basically.
Yeah, it gets crazy. Matthew Faraci says, wasn't it his dad who snitched on him? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not too sure who snitched on him or broke the news or leaked that picture or anything like that. But whoever did, that's jacked up. Like on draft night, you couldn't have did it like a day after or like a day before. Like give him a chance to process. You have to do it literally. He's sitting back there with his suit and tie, and you just poof, drop that. His dad's all sitting next to him like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But Jello, let me ask you, and this is included in the chat for anyone who knows anything about football. Answer this question for me. Who won this trade, man? 49ers received the 3rd overall pick. The Dolphins received the 12th, a 3rd round pick, a 2022 and a 2023 1st round pick. Who do you think won that trade, Jello?
Dolphins. I mean, we could look at what they got afterwards from the Eagles, but even this alone, they definitely won at that point because maybe the Dolphins know something we don't. They know a player might drop to even the 12th overall position. We know they got a higher pick out of it in the end of it. But, I mean, at this point, it's more picks. So, I mean, why not at that point? If you think that players could be available and you can get more picks out of it, why not? We've seen a lot of good talent come out of those 5th, 6th, 7th rounders, even the undrafted guys. So they're like, we'll take our chance and go with it. So why not?
Tom Brady.
But, I mean,
Tom Brady.
Those top 5 picks are always very valuable. So if you can get a ton out of it, why not do it? So,
Lil J6, welcome to the Rick T Podcast, episode 38, brother. He said definitely Miami. I couldn't agree more. J Money Time Justin says Miami easy, and Edub 8485, man. Shout out to Edub 8485 for having the best call last week. But he said, yep, it was his dad who leaked it, and my dad is a super big Dolphins fan, so he would know. It was definitely his dad who leaked it. It's him. I want to know this. Are him and his dad not close? Did they have beef? Like what's the deal behind it? You know what I mean? But everyone in the chat, you, Jello, and myself has all said Miami won that trade big time. So let's move on to this next one. Who won this trade? Eagles received the 12th overall pick, 123rd overall pick, and a 2022 first round pick. And the Dolphins received the 6th overall pick in the draft and 156th overall pick in the draft. So to you, who won this pick or who won this trade?
I think this could also go to Miami to what they could get out of them after this whole Wentz ordeal as well. So for what it could be, I think the Dolphins won this one overall. So I know the Eagles picked up that 2022 first-round pick, but I know the Dolphins could get a lot more out of this. So I think the Dolphins won this as well.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. My thing is I'm a super big Cowboys fan, so we play the Eagles twice a year. I watch the Eagles. I know what the Eagles need. I know what they have. They have nothing. So for them to have that number 6 overall pick, it kind of meant something for everything in the NFC East. It meant something for Philadelphia Eagles fans. And for them to just trade it away, they could have had Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. He's a generational talent, everyone's saying. He ran a 4.3 40 for a tight end at 247. You know what I mean? At 247 pounds, he ran a 4.3 40. That guy is crazy, and that's exactly the kind of person that the Eagles needed. You can line him up wide. You can line him up tight. He can block. He can get reverses. He's their guy. And you trade away that number 6 pick, which he could potentially slide to 12. I'm not saying he couldn't. But just to risk that with everything that you have going on, you trade Wentz, you fire your coach, Doug Peterson. You're running on a second-year quarterback. You don't have very many receivers. Miles Sanders has been hurt in and out, and you're playing in a horrible NFC East division. I think that was a ballsy move, but I don't like it. I think Miami definitely won that trade with the number 6 overall pick. I don't know what they're going to get. I don't know who they're going to get. But I like them just being, aggressive with their moves. They have money, they have picks, they have players, and they're being aggressive as possible to try to make their team, work. They're definitely playing chess out of the best out of every team in the NFL right now, in my opinion.
Well, and I think this is the only thing where I'll agree with the Eagles at this point is I think they're going Devonta Smith, and he wasn't projected to get taken inside the top 15 from what I've seen. So I think that's who they're going for. So if they could once again get that extra first-round pick for a later year, I mean, why not go for it? So I think that's why the Eagles made the decision they did. Is they think they still have a chance at Devonta Smith, for example.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, if they get Devonta Smith, let me just show you this because I do have a couple things on him. There was reports the other day at his senior day, at his pro day, that he weighed 170 pounds. You know what I mean? And at NFL limit, I don't care if you won the Heisman. That's scary because there's a lot of receivers that weigh about that, but you've seen them get killed. You don't see them, get the ball and run through tackles. You see them get the ball and either go down or get tackled out of bounds or get smoked. And it just is what it is. But Chad Ochocinco Johnson said any component scout or GM done their homework via film on DeVonta Smith could care less about weight. What he brings to a team can't even be measured. That shit is just in you. He's built different, and I'm not talking about size. DeVonta Smith says, talk to him, Ocho. So my personal question to you and everybody in the chat is, what do you guys think about lower weight receivers? How do you guys feel about a guy who's literally my size? You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit heavier than me, maybe a little bit, I'm going to say probably a little bit taller than me. He's probably about 6'1". But at 170 pounds coming into the NFL as a top 15 pick, how does everyone feel about that? Do you guys think that's a smart move on the team, a smart move on the GM? Or do you guys think that's a dumb move? You know what I mean? Do you guys think they should go elsewhere, maybe take a guy who's a little bigger, who's a little more ready for NFL play? How do you feel about that, Joe?
I mean, not every player can be big and play that. I guess the best way to explain it is huge masculine football, like taking hits left and right. I mean, this is the big thing we've talked about with Smith for a while now, is yards of separation. That's what matters nowadays. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, look how small a lot of these cornerbacks are at this point. I mean, if you're quick and you can get those yards of separation, you won't have to worry about going up against linebackers at that point because you'll be deep down the field. So, I mean, they use tight ends for a reason. I don't think they're going to drop those little guys in those slot positions. Those are going to be wideouts, like deep down the field. They're using their speed for what they need to. So I think it's smart at that point. I mean, it doesn't matter how big you are when you can get down the field like you can. If you could catch the ball, it's game over.
I completely agree. Matt Faraci says depends on the guy. They can put some weight on him with the world's top nutritionists. And Little J says size really don't matter, and he won the Heisman. So Matt, let me go ahead and address let me address your comment. I think it does depend on the guy. So my thing is, there's a lot of guys who can't put on weight like that. You know what I mean? And it looks like DeVonta Smith is kind of one of those dudes, playing 4 years at Alabama, who is one of the top dog schools. Don't you think they probably would have already tried to put a little bit of weight on him? And yes, Jalen, he did win the Heisman, but there's a lot better DBs and a lot better coaches and players and everything in the NFL than there is in college. You can go ahead and run past a guy in college. You can be fast and small and run past a guy in college. And the NFL, there's a potential that happens, but it's a lot more rare. You know what I mean? I would cut it in half on how much you're going to run past people just easy like that. You know what I mean? He's not Tyreek Hill fast. Let's be honest. He's fast, but he's not 2.9 or 2.29 fast. 4.29 fast. He's not that fast. You know what I mean? But he's good. I hope he puts on some weight, but we'll see. Like you said, it depends on the guy, Matt. But I don't know. DeVonta Smith going to the Eagles. I'm not too worried about that with Dallas. I'm really not too worried about that with Dallas. But let's talk this, man. History being made, bro. During the past 2 NFL drafts, there wasn't a single trade made for any of the top 6 picks, but in a 25-minute span the other day, there were 2 trades involving the top 6 picks, and we're still over a month before the draft, bro. So I just want to say how crazy this year is. Everyone thinks that the NFL is boring. NFL offseason is boring. This year is one of the top NFL offseasons that I've ever been a part of, I've ever experienced. It's crazy. There's quarterbacks moving. There's draft picks moving. There's a bunch of draft picks coming in. And I always think that every year. Like last year, I was like, man, this draft class is ridiculous. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, it doesn't get better than this. Next year is going to suck. And then next year is here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like stuff is getting crazy. It's just wild. You know what I mean? What do you think about it, Jello? How do you feel about this whole process going into it?
I mean, I guess it's very different every single year at the position players that really pop up every year and the thoughts behind them before they get to the NFL. Because in the end, like this year, there's no NFL combine, so it's all pro days and stuff like that. So it's all what could these players possibly do in the NFL? Look at Justin Jefferson, players like Jalen Reagor getting taken before him. Look at DK Metcalf. I mean, we see all these players getting taken so late, and they ended up being the ones who prosper in the NFL. So it's all fear of missing out overall every single year with the draft. So it's everybody's trying to trade up, which is why I'm surprised you don't see more top 5, but there's even players like late first round trying to trade up to 15, 16, for example. It's all the fear of missing out. They're like, why would I take a chance of hoping this player is there if I could just trade up for him now? So
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing every year. It doesn't matter what player, it's you need this player. You don't want to risk him being gone before you can get him at your pick, so you trade up to ensure you get that pick.
I completely agree. Matthew Faraci says, as a Cowboy fan, you should be afraid of Fitzmagic. I've been saying this since he got signed to Washington. That is my worst fear. And in the NFC East, that's probably one of the best signings, that I've seen so far, besides like Kenny Golladay to New York. That stuff's scary to me. You know what I mean? We play those guys twice a year. We don't have very good DBs to cover Kenny Golladay. We don't have very good DBs to cover Fitzmagic. Those are two skilled vets. Like, I'm worried about that. I can't lie. But Little J6 says, exactly, Joe. He completely agrees with you. It's going to get crazy every single year, man. It's getting worse and worse, man. So for everyone who doesn't know, we were just talking about it. This is the new draft order for people in the draft. San Francisco moved up to number 3 from Miami. Miami moved back from number 12, but traded the number 12 pick to number 6 with the Eagles. So at number 3 is the 49ers. At number 6 is the Dolphins. At number 12 is Philly. But Miami did also keep that number 18 spot, for everyone who doesn't know. They're still picking at 6 and 18, which that's hot, man. Miami has I'm telling you, they have firepower. Zylo said the NFC East is going to be fun to watch this year. With the NFC East picking at 10, 11, 12, and 19, there's definitely going to even be a lot more talent coming in. You know what I mean? Unless one of these teams trades out, which I don't. The only team I see trading out of those top picks, to be honest, is Dallas. I think Dallas would be dumb enough to be like, you know what? Yeah, Baltimore, we'll move back. We'll move back to number 27. You guys have our number 10. And I'm going to be like, mother. I'm going to be on screen freaking out, cussing the screen out, calling Jerry Jones, flipping my lid, man. But we do have a mock draft for the top 12 picks, and this is just what we have going on right now. So they got Trevor Lawrence going at 1, of course. Zach Wilson going to the Jets, which we'll see. And then this is what I see, Mac Jones going at 3. What do they know that we don't know? What do they know? Penei Sewell at 4 to Atlanta. I don't necessarily like him down in Atlanta, but I think he would do just fine down there. Bengals go Rashawn Slater. Like you said, the only way they go Rashawn Slater is if Penei Sewell is off the board before 5. Jalen Waddle at 6 to Miami. I don't like that one bit. Jalen Waddle was hurt all last year. He is good.
They beat Jamar Chase.
Yeah, it has to be. So I think you just swapped 6 and 7, in my opinion. I think Jamar Chase goes 6, maybe. I don't even think Jalen Waddle goes 7, but, whatever. So they got Jamar Chase going to they got him going to Detroit, playing with Jared Goff. I don't like that. I think that's kind of going to waste his talent out a little bit, but we'll see. Justin Fields going at 8. If it's not going to be at 3 to the 49ers, that's where I want him, is at 8 to the Panthers. To be honest, I like that fit. He's a Cam Newton 2.0. At 9, they got Patrick Surtain going to Denver. Now I can say I agree with what you and Tony were saying, that you guys don't need to draft a DB anymore. You guys got 3 to 4 good DBs in free agency this year. You know what I mean? This season. So
we'll see what our backfield's going to be, because we re-signed Kareem Jackson to a very nice deal. So we're going to have Ronald Darby. We're going to have Kyle Fuller. You have Justin Simmons. You have Kareem Jackson. And then we also have, I always forget what the other guy's name is. Plus, we drafted Oja Mudiay last year as well. So we're definitely not. They keep saying we're going cornerback. We're not. We don't need it. We'd go linebacker well before we went defensive back at this point. So we did well in free agency in that aspect. So I don't know. I feel like they made up their mind and they're just sticking with it at this point.
Man. Oh, I think the Jets trade back Mac Jones with the little face. So you're the Jets fan. You would know this. If the Jets trade back, where are they trading back to? You know what I mean? Like, how far back can they trade back and still guarantee a great quarterback, a decent quarterback, whether it's Mac Jones or Trey Lance or whoever? I
don't think the Jets are going quarterback. I really don't think they are at this point. And I mean, this is my thing. How many teams on this list right here have a great offensive lineman that they could offer plus everything else? So, for example, I mean, this could go a million different ways, but I don't think the Jets trade it though. I think there's too much that the Jets could do with that second pick, and I think Sewell is well needed for the Jets. So I think they stick there. I think they, for the first year in a while, they take the smart move and stay and get Penei Sewell.
Look at this. EW8045 says Kyle Pitts at 6 for the Dolphins. As much as I would love that, I don't see that being a great fit.
I think Jamar Chase. This is my thing. They don't need tight ends at that point. I know Pitts is a good.
You guys have Gesicki.
Adam Shaheen is very underrated still, in my opinion, as well at the tight end position. I think they go Jamar Chase. They need somebody else to complement Devontae Parker at that point. So I think it's Jamar Chase. If he's on the table, they go for him. Outside of that, I highly doubt Jalen Waddle goes top 10.
Honestly, I completely agree with you on that. I have no doubt in my mind that he does not go top 10. Yeah, I think he got to slide. I think he's a great guy, great receiver. I'm not saying anything about his game, but just his injury history and the way he tried to like come back from it in the national championship and like re-injured it a little bit. Like,
Yep.
I know you love the game, young fella, but dude, this is not worth it in my opinion. And that kind of that takes a knock on him in my book. Matthew Faraci says they get a receiver in my opinion. I want Swell as a Jets fan. Darnold has more in the tank.
Yep, exactly.
I agree. Me and Jello agree. Darnold is a good quarterback. I would not mind having Darnold on my team.
This is my big thing. You can't judge a quarterback off his play when he's had nothing to play with at that point. That's just how it is at that point. Look how many quarterbacks pick it up in the right situation. But this is my thing. If we ended up not trading the number 9 pick to try to get Watson, if the Broncos, that doesn't happen, I think the better pick at number 9 would be Micah Parsons.
The linebacker out of Penn State.
Yes, sir. I think that's a huge talent, and I think he's just more slept on than anything else. So
imagine Denver having Micah Parsons, Von Miller, and Bradley Chubb all on the same defense. Yep. Oh my Lord. That would be crazy. So okay, so we'll do this. We'll say you guys take, because I don't see Micah Parsons getting taken in the top 10. And for a little bit when the draft stuff started talking about it, he was a top 3 pick. He was supposed to go top 3 with Penei Sewell and Trevor Lawrence. Those are supposed to be the top 3, 1, 2, 3. And now it's Trevor Lawrence. You see Penei Sewell at 4, possibly 5. You know what I mean? Possibly 2 still. And then you got freaking Micah Parsons not even on the board. So let's say we'll take Patrick Surtain out. You guys take Micah Parsons. Oh, we do have a caller. Give me 1 second. We have a caller. We'll come right back to it. Caller. Welcome to the Rick T Podcast. What's your name, man?
Jason, what's up, Eric?
What up, brother? How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. What you want to talk about today, bro?
Hey, I just had a quick question for you guys.
What's good?
So with the whole COVID situation and there being no combine going on, do you think in the future years this is gonna affect the NFL drafting in a positive way or a negative way? And do you think they continue to keep doing more pro days instead of a combine, or how do you think they go about that?
So honestly, Jason, that was a great question. In my opinion, I kind of like it a little bit more. I think it gives players more of an opportunity to showcase their skills at their own pro days, because there's a lot of players that don't get invited to the combine and they have to find ways to find their own little combines and own little ways to sneak into little pro days and stuff like that to showcase their talent. So I think if they don't have a combine where kids get chosen and some kids don't get chosen, I think it forces coaches to kind of spread out to every school and go see every specific team, whether it's a guy you're looking for or a guy you're not looking for. You're just going to the school, you might see him show his talent and catches your eye. You know what I mean? And that's just from, them going to a pro day instead of a combine and stuff like that, where they're going to a combine specifically looking at a Jerry Jeudy or a Trevor Lawrence or somebody like that, where you can find somebody who's a baller that's not invited to the combine or something like that. You know what I mean?
I agree, because I feel like the combine is more to get those kids out of their shell and put them in that state, in that weird position. But I feel like when you do pro days, you get to go see those kids in there and where they're comfortable, and you can learn a lot more about them when you go to their home.
Exactly.
You can see how good of a teammate they are by the way their teammates react and hang out with them if they go to their birthday parties or not. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think the pro days in the future is gonna be the next thing.
Oh yeah, I think it'll help. And I honestly thought that with kind of like the virtual draft thing too. I thought that was a really good idea. It kind of showed you a little bit more about these players inside their home and, you know, them with their family and the way they would react, not on stage, not in a professional way and stuff like that. So, but they are coming back to the in live draft. I think they probably will come back to the combine at some time, but in my personal opinion, I agree with you. I think pro days are going to be the next big thing, but we'll see what they do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, man, boys.
Of course, bro. Appreciate you for calling in, man. Hope to see you in the chat. Maybe have a call in later. Another question if you have one, man.
Absolutely, bro. You guys take it easy.
Thank you, man. So, Jello, what do you think about that whole thing? Do you think that pro days are the next big thing, or do you think that the combine is going to come back? Do you think that the combine is kind of going to stay and that's where it should stay?
I mean, I think the combine's going to stay at this point, and it's due to the fact that you can get more players in one area, and it's less traveling with the coaches at that point. And you don't have to go to so many different schools when you can send guys to the combine to watch all these different kids. But that's the tough part is it is invite only. So, I mean, I hope they just do more pro days at that point because they get to see all these kids, not just the ones everyone's hyping or so hyped up about that year, for example. Because there's a lot of players that get dropped down low and they end up once you kill it and they weren't invited to the combine. So most likely they'll do the combine, but I hope they do more pro days overall, and that's what becomes the norm at this point.
I completely agree. Little J6 says it's going to change in a good way, and true Jason. But back to the Jets, man. Honestly, Jalen also said Darnold is ass, which I don't agree with. You're a hater. You think everyone's ass. But if the Saints got Sam Darnold, that would be your best opportunity to be good again right now. He'd be a better option over Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, in my opinion. Matt Faraci says, and you had a horrific coach in Adam Gase. Of course he wasn't going to be good. Hey, that's very true, but I think he can be good under Slay or whatever his last name is. EW8045 says they have Fuller and Pitts can kill you in a 12 personnel. It just depends who's going to take Kyle Pitts. And like you said, Miami could potentially take him at 6. Let's say he does take him at 6, and then Denver takes linebacker Micah Parsons at 9. Dallas is still taking J.C. Horn, supposedly. If it's not J.C. Horn, I would like it to be Caleb Farley. But I, to be honest, don't want to see Patrick Surtain get taken in the top 10. He was a very good corner, but he sat out this year and didn't do a lot of things on the field this year. So, and he's no Penei Sewell. I don't just look at him and I'm like, oh, he's a difference changer. I need to see him play. I needed to see him play last year, which we didn't get to see. So I'm hoping that Dallas does take like a J.C. Horn or a Caleb Farley type of cornerback. We definitely need a DB. If it's not Penei Sewell, we need a DB. So I'm all right with this J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. He's a beast. He ran like a 4.3 at his pro day the other day. So I'm completely all right with that. At 11, it has the Giants taking Elijah Vera Tucker. Offense. Yeah, I like that too. Offensive tackle out of USC. A lot of people are sleeping on the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 has some players, and this guy is another one of them. Easily one of the top 3 best offensive line in the draft, and that's why he's at this spot he's at. And then Eagles at 12, they're saying he takes Kyle Pitts, but if Miami takes Kyle Pitts at 6, then I see Devontae Smith at 12. Like you said, Jello, I think they're going to get a receiver, try to help Jalen Hurts out, get the young fellas going. And that could be dangerous. I'm not going to say it's not going to be dangerous because it could be. Jalen Hurts with Devontae Smith, that's 2 Heisman winners right there. You know what I mean? Or at least a Heisman runner-up and a Heisman winner. Like, we have some damage to be done, bro. But I have a question for you right after this statement, man. Corey Davis said he signed with the Jets with the understanding that Sam Darnold will be New York's quarterback in 2021. And I completely agree. I think if I was Corey Davis, I would want to sign with a team that's like they got a new coach. They got a quarterback that finally has a coach who can teach him. Let me go play there. I'm not going to play there because I think they're going to get Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or something like that. I'm going there for Sam Darnold. So I'm asking you and the chat one more time. If you were the Jets, what quarterback would you rather have for the next 5 years? And I'm not talking about just next year now. I'm talking about the next 5 years. Option A, Sam Darnold. Option B, Zach Wilson. Or do you think they should maybe, go option C and maybe still try to go all in for Deshaun Watson or maybe go someone else?
I think it'd be Darnold. I don't think option C would be Watson at that point. I don't like this whole Zach Wilson being so high. I know he's done all right playing, but I don't think he's going to transition to the NFL as well as everybody thinks and so quick. So I think it's Sam Darnold at that point. If he actually has a chance, just who knows how great he can do in the NFL. So it's got to be Darnold, no doubt.
Ooh, Jay said I'm picking Wilson, and that Russell Wilson, or you're talking Zach Wilson. I'm saying I think they should go for like a Russell Wilson. Let's talk Russell Wilson. He's still in his little trade talks. Let's be realistic. He's not going anywhere. I think he will play this year for the Seattle Seahawks, but that wouldn't be a bad a shot. Instead of Zach Wilson, try to go for Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Seattle doesn't have, I think they have 3 picks in this year's draft. 3. It's horrible. Like, look at this. 3 picks. Number of picks in this year's draft. Seattle has the least amount of picks at 3, and the Eagles have 11. So that's impressive. But I'm saying, what if you shot him over to the Seattle Seahawks and went and tried to get Russell Wilson? You send Sam Darnold to Seattle. I kind of like that fit. I don't necessarily like Russell in New York too much, but maybe New York fans can see it a little bit better than I can. You know what I mean? Now, real talk, next year he's coming to the Big Easy. Are you talking about Russell?
Yeah, no, he's not.
I mean, he did say the Saints are one of his places that he would play. But you guys got Taysom Hill locked up for 4 years.
140.
140, yeah. 4 years, 140. Y'all aren't going nowhere at quarterback. Giants taking the East. I agree, Jay. What?
I think the Giants could do it. I guess that all banks on because Nate Soldier sat last year, and that's a huge lineman right there. So it's really how Jones plays, but I do like the additions they have on both ends of the ball. So we'll see.
Look, and I will say this as an NFC East fan, the NFC East is going to be real interesting this year. Dak finally got his contract. He's back with his Batman and Robin duo with Zeke. He's got receivers in CD, Amari. Then you go to the Giants. They got Danny Dimes healthy. They got Saquon back. They got a Kenny Galladay. Their defense is nice. Then you go to the Washington Redskins. They got Fitzmagic, Scary Terry McLaurin, and then they signed Curtis Samuel. That's a beast duo. And then let's not forget, Antonio Gibson. Let's not forget the beast in the backfield. I think the Eagles are going to easily be the worst team in the NFC East this year. They're running off of Jalen Hurts, which he showed potential last year, but how much potential did he show? 3, 4, 5 games? That's not enough. I need to see a whole season out of him. It'll be interesting. Their running back core is their receiving core is and their defense is They're on a new head coach. They're on a new quarterback. Like, they have so much going on in Philly. That is the one team that's like, we've all been distracted in the NFC East for a couple years now. But now it's like 3 teams got focused and were ready to go, and one team's still like flipping through their papers and freaking out on the desk. And that's the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I think it'll be really interesting to see what the NFC East does. No one is going to say that the NFC East is going to be the worst division in football this year. That will not happen. I promise y'all that. Big Blue J 92 says, I can see Wilson in a big market because his wife needs it too. I'm saying New York. If it wasn't the Giants, why not the Jets? You know what I'm saying? Big Blue Jay also says it's going to be a fun year. Looks good on paper, but we all got to play. Facts, Eric. Man, we're going to get it going, bro. The NFC East is going to be nice. I think the AFC West with the Denver Broncos division, that's going to be interesting to see. You guys have a crazy defense. And that's the thing is, like, every team in the NFL always goes in on quarterback and offense. And it seems like Denver is all sold on defense, and they're going to let the puzzles fit where they fit on offense. You know what I mean? You guys have a decent running back. You guys have great receivers. If your guys' offensive line and quarterback can get combined, the Broncos can compete with any team in that division, whether it's the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Chargers are easily probably the worst division in that, or the worst team in that division. But that quarterback says otherwise. That quarterback, Justin Herbert, says otherwise, man. We're going to switch it over to a couple different topics. And this one is a little interesting, man, because we just were talking about the Broncos and such teams. 4 landing spots for Jimmy Garoppolo, man, according to CBS Sports writer Jeff Kerr. He says the New England Patriots, the Denver Broncos, the Chicago Bears, and the Carolina Panthers are the highest potential landing spots for Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm asking Jello, you, and I'm asking chat, What do you guys think? Where do you guys think Jimmy Garoppolo will end up if he goes anywhere, or if not?
I mean, if he does go, well, I in the end, I think they're going to keep him. He's going to be a mentor to whatever quarterback they bring in. But if he were to leave, I'd say Patriots or Panthers. I don't see Bears being on that list, and definitely not the Broncos. At least not for Jimmy G. So he either goes back home to the Patriots or he goes to Carolina under Teddy Bridgewater at that point. So we'll just have to wait to see. Or like Jay's favorite thing to say, he could be going to the Saints. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Jalen said he's going to Denver. Big Blue Jay says he stays, and J Money Time says Bears. You said Panthers. So it's like we have all kinds of different crazy teams. I was thinking the same exact thing that you just said, Jello, when I was, putting this stuff on the podcast script for today. I said, I hope Jimmy Garoppolo stays and maybe either competes for his spot in San Fran with like a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones or whoever they take, or I hope he leaves and does his thing. But my thing is Jimmy Garoppolo that type of guy who is going to want to stay and mentor a guy who is okay with playing backup? He played backup for many years behind Tom Brady. He finally got his shot when he got out of there. And now it's like he's backtracking, kind of going into that backup role again. I don't know if he's going to be all right with that. I don't know if he's going to be cool with being okay as a mentor and stuff. I think maybe he'll go Aaron Rodgers and either try to prove himself and win an MVP or some crazy stuff like that. Or he's like, man, I don't want to be here. I want out. I'm not mentoring. I'm not backing it up. I'm a starter here. But I don't know. I thought that same exact thing. I'm like, I hope he mentors somebody. He sat behind Tom Brady. He's a great quarterback himself. But what is he going to do? You know what I mean? What is he going to do? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Should I stay or should I go? But honestly, I see him back in New England. If I had to pick a spot for him, I would love to see him back in New England. They have a Cam Newton and a Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that is a good quarterback competition. It's two completely different quarterbacks, but it's two quarterbacks that know the Patriots system now. Jimmy Garoppolo has played there for years. Cam Newton had a year under his belt, and now they're both competing. I would love to see it. I hope he goes back to New England. I hope they shift something out. Come on, Big Bill Belichick. Matthew Frotcher says Patriots most likely, but I agree with Jello. He will be on the 49ers as a backup. Xylo says staying or Pats. Big Blue Jay says, hypothetically speaking, if he leaves, it'll be a reunion with the Pats if Cam doesn't perform next year. And Little J6 says Denver is good with washed up quarterbacks, so y'all gonna get him, Jello. That's one thing that's like not disrespectful to say, because you guys are good with like quarterbacks that like don't start in Denver, except if their name's Brock Osweiler, it doesn't count.
Joe Flacco, Case Keenum.
Oh yeah, you might be right. I'm just thinking Peyton Manning and like.
Well, I mean, outside
Peyton Manning
wasn't washed up. He was just hurt, so he wasn't washed up. He had been injured.
Jay says I can see Jello and Tony with a Denver Jimmy G jersey.
Hell no.
I can see the whole stands just flowed with Jimmy G jerseys, and he'd probably change his number too. He would not be number 10
because he would have to get that number from another player from last year. So
isn't it Jerry? Isn't it Jerry Judy's number? That's not happening.
Nah, you got to pay for it. Look at Pittman. Wentz changed his number because Pittman said you got to pay for it.
But then there's like a Chris Godwin situation, but that's Tom Brady. You're not going to make Tom Brady change his number if you don't have to.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Tom Brady said he was okay with going to number 7 for his 7th ring. He was like, I'll take number 7 for my motivation to chase 7. And then he took 12 and got 7. So he should have low-key took 7. That would have been a hell of a story. It would have been a hell of a story. George Kittle and Patrick Mahomes react to the 49ers trading the number 3 overall pick. George Kittle said, oh, wow. Patrick Mahomes said, seriously, though? And then George Kittle said, I just worked there. I don't know what's going on. I believe him 100%. I believe he probably didn't know that they were going to do that. He probably doesn't know where they're going to go. But my thing is like, what do you think George Kittle is thinking? Do you hope he keeps Jimmy G, or do you hope he goes younger, newer quarterback?
I mean, for Kittle, I bet him and Garoppolo are friends, but in the end, it's what's best for the team at that point. So, and as bad as that sucks, that's how it is nowadays. It's just like whatever's best for the team is what you do. It's why players move on, because it's better for them to go to a team that's ready to win at that point. So, I guess it's surprising. Maybe he didn't believe that something like this would actually happen and they would go for this. But working for the organization, there's always speculation of what they're going to do. But a lot of times even players don't know until the announcement's made. So He could be surprised as well that maybe it's coming to fruition. The decisions or things they've been talking about have all come to play nowadays. So it's going to be interesting.
I agree. It's going to be hella interesting, and I'm so excited for the season to start. Me and Jason were just on Xbox the other day, and we were talking about it, and we were like, man, I'm getting depressed without football. Like, football is crazy. Like, thank God this NFL free agency tampering period and NFL free agency has been so good, because I would be going crazy right now without football. So it's like, and it almost makes it worse when they do big things like this, because it makes you more excited for the season, and you still have to wait. Like, I'm excited for the draft. They just traded all kinds of draft picks for the first time this year. All kinds of crazy stuff happened, and I still have to wait until April 29th. You know what I mean? We'll be sitting right here on camera, super excited about it. I'm going to have to wait an hour and a half before Dallas gets into the 10th pick. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, though. I'm super excited for NFL season, 2021-2022 season. It's going to be good. The Buccaneers are living up to Bruce Arians' word. We're going for 2. He also told 2 players they aren't going anywhere. Players that have re-signed or tagged since winning the Super Bowl: Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Chris Godwin, Donovan Smith, Ryan Suckup, Ndamukong Suh, Levante David, Shaquille Barrett, and they just did give Super Bowl Leonard Fournette, I believe it was a 1-year deal for like $7 million, so they definitely got him back. But AB is still a free agent at the moment. I believe that Seattle Seahawks are pushing to get him. It'll be interesting to see what they do there. But it's cool because it's like for the first time since like 1976, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the first team to return all their starters since winning the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And that's impressive. It's good stuff. Bruce Arians said that he was going to do it. Everyone looked at the cap space and said, man, in a COVID year, this is the cap room. You guys have this much money. There is no way in hell that you guys are doing it. And he did it. You know what I mean? So what do you think about this year's Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Do you think that they can go for 2? Do you think with that starting offense, it'll just be the same thing, that they're just dominant? They're a great team under Tom Brady and Bruce Arians? Or do you think that teams will start to figure them out? It's kind of the same thing as last year, that they can kind of game plan against them now.
Well, I mean, they still had issues at that point. So, in my opinion, I think they don't win 2 in a row. They might win another one in a couple years, but with the talent coming out with these teams and everything else at that point, I know they haven't lost anybody, so why wouldn't they win another one? But I think there's a lot of teams that faced a lot of severe injuries that cost them to lose at this point. We see a lot of upside with teams like the Bills, and the Chiefs, for example, the Packers, stuff like that. So I think there's going to be some teams out there, some surprise finishes to where the Bucs might not get knocked out early.
Oh, I don't think it'll work, to be honest. I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to agree with what Big Blue Jay said. Didn't work for KC, but should be interesting. Definitely wasn't pretty for them through the year, but when it mattered, it showed up. I completely agree. And it's Tom Brady. And I said this to Jello and Tony when playoffs started. I said, I'm going Tampa Bay or I'm going Bills. Like, those 2 teams will be in the Super Bowl. Why? Why Tampa Bay? They lost to the Saints. The Saints are going to beat the hell out of them, said Jalen. I said, dude, it's Tom Brady. I get you guys beat him twice, but this is playoffs. Like that, he has a switch like LeBron, where when it's playoffs, it's like it's not the same player, it's not the same mentality. He has no friends on the field or off the field during that time. Like, he just does his thing. So you can't bet against Tom Brady. But I don't know. I don't think it'll be the same old. I think their division got easier. I think with Drew Brees gone, I think the Saints are a worse team. I don't think the Panthers have a quarterback, so I don't think they're a good team. And I think the Falcons are a really bad team. They don't know how to finish any games, not even against the Cowboys when it comes to an onside. They can't even finish that. But I think they got their division on lock, but I don't think the NFC or the NFC in general is going to be just as easy as they think it'll be. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be some challenges in NFC, whether it comes from the NFC East, whether it comes from the Bears, any team like that. There's some teams that can play. There's a lot of teams that made it to playoffs last year that are eager. And there's a lot of AFC teams that they're going to have to play too that are really good teams. I wish I had the schedule in front of me, but if they have to play the Steelers, the Browns, the Ravens, if they play any of those 3 teams, that's trouble. If they have to play Kansas City in the regular season, it's trouble. You know what I mean? There's a lot of teams that they can play that they'll run into trouble. And like Big Blue Jay said, it'll really just matter when their team wants to come into play, if they're going to show up when it matters. And this year, I don't potentially think it will, but we'll see, man. We still have the same team just without Drew, so we'll be good. That was your team.
No Emmanuel Sanders.
No one, and you guys got Michael Thomas back, which could be good or could be bad. You guys didn't have him last year, and you guys did fine. Winston is going to start for the Saints. I agree, but we'll see. It'll be a battle through training camp. It'll definitely be a battle through training camp. Couple more things before we get to a commercial break and end hour one. The Packers are bringing back Kevin King on a 1-year, $6 million $6 million deals. But for those of you who don't remember, Kevin King's NFC Championship performance against Tampa Bay included a touchdown broke on him by Mike Evans, a touchdown broke on him right before half on Scotty Miller, and then this pass interference to low-key lose them the game. Like the Packers were going to go to the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Kevin King, and they re-signed him. They said, it's okay, bud. We're going to bring you back. It's kind of what the Saints did when old boy missed a tackle on the Minnesota Miracle. They signed him back on a 1-year deal, and he's still there. So it's like maybe he fixes himself. Kevin King is a decent player. I'm not going to say he's horrible, but after that kind of performance, I would have to let him go, bro. I'd be so upset with him that I would have to let him go. But I just wanted to let everyone know that Kevin King, the one that kind of ruined it for the Packers, will be back on a 1-year deal, $6 million. And then he's going to hit the market again next year.
One, just to answer Jay's comment from before, the Saints did lose a lot of good defensive players, so just got to remember that part as well.
That's facts, and defense wins championships, bud. Defense wins championships. Last thing before we get into break. Najee Harris is the ultimate teammate, man. On Monday night, his flight to Alabama's pro day was canceled due to lightning. So he hopped in a car, 8 hours and 31 minutes, 585.9 miles to Tuscaloosa. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know why I couldn't get that out of my mouth. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And Harris wasn't even working out. He just went to support his former teammates, man. So Najee Harris, potentially the first running back off the board in this year's draft. My dad said he's going to Miami. We will see. He hopped in the car, drove 8 hours the night before his pro day, got there, and then didn't even work out. He was just like, hey, guys, how you guys doing? You guys need any advice answered? You guys have any questions, anything like that? That is the ultimate teammate. I think that alone probably knocked up his draft stock by a couple points. Whether it was a couple picks or just some teams not too sure on him. And now they're like, okay, this guy is the ultimate teammate. We definitely need to sign this guy. He's cold. But I'm excited to see what he does, bro. Najee Harris, if he stays in the South in Miami, I think that's probably his best fit. But we'll see. I like Travis 18 over him. Yep, that Clemson running back's better than him, Lil J6. I just said Travis 18 is better, I think. Travis 18 is a little smaller, but we'll see, man. We'll see, man. Jello, you got anything to say about anything we were talking about before we get out of here in hour one?
No, I think I'm good. I think I got it all out so far.
Got it all out, man. For everybody watching, in hour two, we will be talking some good stuff, man. In hour two, Jello and myself are going to stay on the NFL topics. We're going to do our draft grades and tell you guys what players in this year's free agency are going to make the biggest difference on their team in free agency next year or the actual season this year, man. So we're going to get into a commercial. I appreciate you guys for tuning into the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. We'll be back in about 5-6 minutes, man.
Go ahead, run your mouth. We chill right now. To the beat, and they playing.
Having his pro day today. You see him warming up. Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer there watching him warm up. Yeah, that's the guy we're going to take #1 overall. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney also there showing support. Lawrence got a picture with all those receivers before they got going. They started out with some short passes to the sideline, eventually working their way down the field. Some red zone throws, maybe the best one of the day, 60-yard dime. I mean, he just let this thing fly. That's what he does. Here is Trevor Lawrence now talking with our Reese Davis afterward on what he needs to work on.
Every year it's a lot of new things to work on that you kind of notice, and then a lot of the same stuff, you know, footwork, comfortability in the pocket, pocket presence, all that stuff kind of stays the same as far as you need to work on that. But then just, I think mentally, obviously the game's a little bit different at the NFL level and what's on your plate. So just taking this time, especially after surgery, to really prepare mentally while I can't physically, and then once I can physically, really, I'm just going to be grinding and getting ready. So just really excited for that challenge. I love learning. That's one of my favorite parts about the game is it's such a fun thing to, learn a new system and to kind of piece everything together. It's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to do that. But I think that's the biggest thing is just mentally, defensive recognition, playbook, all that stuff.
He moved his workout from next month to today because he's going to have surgery on his non-throwing shoulder. ESPN NFL draft expert Todd McShay joining us now from Clemson. Todd, you watched Trevor Lawrence throw this morning. Take us inside the scene of the pro day.
Well, first of all, Jay, the interesting part is that shoulder surgery that he's having and the fact that he moved up his pro day. And the reason he did is because he got a call from Urban Meyer, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously picking at #1 overall, and said, you know what? Because I've been working at Fox as a college analyst, we haven't been able to have our scouting staff and the coaching staff see you live throwing the football. Would you mind throwing the ball, before you have surgery on Tuesday? And he said, yeah, sure. I'm a competitor. I'll go out and do it. And he did it today in really high-end fashion. He missed one throw rolling out to the left. There were a couple throws that fluttered a little bit, but otherwise I thought he was darn near perfect. You watch the red zone area, placing the ball high where only his receiver can get it. Some of the throws down the field vertically, and then the timing with receivers. You got to remember, there's only one receiver that he played with last year in Cornell Powell. The other three guys that were running routes, he hasn't thrown the ball to. So to have that timing in just 2 weeks to prepare, when quarterbacks usually have 7-8 weeks to prepare for this pro day, it really was impressive to see. And the best part was watching Urban Meyer about 2 yards away from the snap every single play and just watching every single move that he had. If you had any question whether or not Trevor Lawrence was going to be the #1 overall pick coming into today, it's sealed.
What was it that stood out about Trevor Lawrence to you during this setting?
Well, first of all, Reese, just as some background, typically you have 4 or 5 receivers that you've worked with in college. He had 1. And he also had 2 weeks to prepare. Typically, quarterbacks have 7-8 weeks to prepare with their quarterback coach, in this case, Jordan Palmer. So this was rushed because of the shoulder injury that he has and the surgery that's upcoming on Tuesday on his non-throwing shoulder, the left shoulder. But I thought he was spectacular. I really did. The thing that stands out, first of all, is the twitchiness, how quick he is with his feet, dropping under center, and then how quick he releases the ball and gets it out. And that's important in Urban Meyer's system. And he mentioned that when I talked to him yesterday. And I love how he's a long-levered, 6'6" quarterback who can run, but also is twitchy in the pocket and can get the quick game ball out, as fast as he does. And the other thing in the red zone, the ball placement and how he was able to put the ball high exactly where he wanted to. That's something I look for in all these pro days with the quarterbacks. And, he aced another test here today.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.
We are back with hour 2 of the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. I'm your host, Eric Holmes, host of the Rick T Podcast and the Talk Through Talk Show. And along, as always, with my boy Jello, man. And we are back. Hey. Man, here in hour 2, we're going to get right into what matters most to us, man. I want to talk about the rest of the teams that we did not finish last week, the team grades. They might have picked up a couple other players. If you know about them, go ahead and throw them in the comments or throw them out there. But, man, we left off with the Raiders last week, Justin's team. They signed that was probably one of the best free agent signings and all the teams in the NFL this free agency. But let's continue on with the Los Angeles Chargers, man. They signed Jared Cook to a 1-year deal worth $6 million, which is not bad. But everybody else looks just, average. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and give them a B average. Nothing special. Oh, shit. We have a caller. Hold on 1 second. Let's take this caller, man. Caller, man. How you doing? Where are you from?
Good. You from Colorado.
How you going, man? What's your name?
It's your brother Jalen.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
What do you want to talk about today?
How you feel about Rondell Moore? That's how you say his name.
Rondell Moore out of Purdue, the receiver. Honestly, this is one of my favorite sleeper picks of the draft, and I'm glad you asked about this because I do have something on him. Rondell Moore, man, he ran a 4.2940 at his pro day. That's the same exact 40 as Tyreek Hill. So, man, I honestly think this is one of the best sleeper receivers in the draft. I think he'll probably go second or third round, but whatever team gets this guy is definitely going to have one of the best slot receivers, rookie receivers in the game this year. Rondell Moore, I think he will be great. I think whatever team gets him, he will make use of. And this guy is Tyreek Hill fast. So I will say whatever team gets him, he's going to be crazy, man. But what do you think about Rondell Moore, Jalen? Do you think he's going to be a speedster, or do you think he's going to be a number one receiver guy type of guy?
He's going to be like a slot guy, but he kind of reminds me of like a DJ Moore.
Yeah, honestly, I can see that. Fast, shifty, has hands. He's definitely a beast, man.
Yeah. That's all I want to ask so far.
No, I appreciate you, man. Good question, good call. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy. Rondell Moore, man, he's gonna be the truth, man. Appreciate you for calling, Jalen. Want to become famous by follow, dude? We don't do that by followers. Crap, we don't do that. Crap, get out of here. But let's go back to it, Jello. I gave these guys a B average. What are you giving these guys?
I'd probably go high B's as well. Michael Badgley, I don't like that re-signing just with issues he had last year, but I do like Jared Cook, another receiving option, and I really like the Corey Linsley signing. I know it makes him the highest paid center in the NFL right now, but you got to protect your investment, which is Justin Herbert. So, and then they got Ibushi and Filer as well. So I think they did really well when it came to their line, which just shoots them up as well. So
I agree. So you're giving him a B plus, B average-ish. I'm going to give him a B average. Great job, Los Angeles Chargers. You got to protect Justin Herbert. I'm loving it. On to my favorite one, man. Dallas Cowboys moving on to the NFC East, baby. Dak Prescott, 4-year, $160 million contract that has a max value of $164 million and includes $126 million guaranteed. We signed a couple tackles, and a couple of DNs, Carlos Watkins, nothing special. CJ Goodwin, we re-signed. Jordan Lewis, we re-signed. And then we did sign a couple new safeties the other day. We signed Keanu Neal. He's a safety that played for Atlanta. I think we're transitioning him into a linebacker. Don't love it at all. And then we went ahead and signed another free agent safety who's coming off of an ACL tear, also for Atlanta, man. And both of these Atlanta DBs that we've signed, our defensive coordinator is Dan Quinn. He was on that great team for the Falcons or whatever. But they had one of the worst defenses in all of NFL history, like top 5 worst defenses in NFL history with him and these players. And we went ahead and grabbed him. Mike McCarthy was like, we have to pull the trigger on him. He's a good D coordinator. We got to pull the trigger. And he pulled the trigger on all these old players that he used to be horrible with to bring to Dallas. And now we're transitioning him from strong safety to free safety and from free safety to linebacker. Like, bro, so I'm going to go ahead and give the Dallas Cowboys I would say a D, but with that Dak Prescott signing, I'll bump him up to a C minus. And this is my own team. I'm not going to be biased on this. It wasn't a great free agency signing for us at all. We didn't really do much. Dak Prescott was the best thing we did. And if that would have been the only thing we did, I would have given him a higher grade than what we did with the rest of these signings, man. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a C minus, D plus, if you will. Not a great job, Dallas Cowboys, but I'm loving the Dak Prescott signing. How are you feeling about these Dallas Cowboys, Jello?
So I'll give my grade right off the bat. It's a D. I do like the Dak Prescott signing. He really earned his keep last year before he got hurt. But what's happening with Eric Fisher right now and Mitchell Schwartz? Teams like Dallas need these players to help protect their quarterback, yet nobody's going for him. I think they really should have picked up one of those guys so far. They're going for all these no-name guys in hopes that they come together and play well, but I think they need to get another big-name offensive lineman or defensive player as well. So it would be an F if they didn't have Dak in there. But
Facts. I'm telling you, Dak is the only thing that bumps them up even a little bit, bro. So not a great job, Dallas Cowboys. But we'll move on to a team that did have quite a good free agency signing. New York Giants, man. They ended up signing Devontae Booker, Kenny Galladay, John Ross, Kyle Rudolph, Leonard Williams. They re-signed, man. You know what I mean? Actually, he got the franchise tag, but he's still going to be on the New York Giants. You know what I mean? So they had quite quite a good free agency signing. The Giants are going to be a team to reckon with for quite a while now. So I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a B+. Great job, Giants. I'm loving the Kenny Golladay signing. They needed a number one receiver. They haven't had one since Odell, in my opinion. And now they finally have Kenny Golladay, who can finally do something. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But he did sign a 4-year or $72 million deal, $40 million guaranteed. If that's not motivation for him, I don't know what will be. John Ross, I'm not loving that John Ross pick, but I don't think it can hurt him. And I'm not necessarily loving the Kyle Rudolph pick. I think they probably picked him to block for Saquon Barkley. He's more of a blocker tight end now. But Evan Ingram is a better tight end than Kyle Rudolph, in my opinion. So that's just me. I'm loving the Leonard Williams tag. I like that. So I'm going to give him a B+. B+. What do you give him, Jello?
I give these guys an A overall for what they did this offseason. So it's huge. You did add Devontae Booker, which they needed someone to complement Saquon. Boom, you did it. You added Golladay to complement Darius Slayton, for example. They did that. I do like this John Ross signing because they got him for a steal, in my opinion. They paid him nothing, basically.
Yeah.
Like this Kyle Rudolph thing. And this is my thing. People can say people like Sterling Shepard and whatever his name, Evan Ingram are good, but obviously they're not. I mean, what have they really done in the end of this since they've been drafted? So Kyle Rudolph has done a lot. Man's had some game-winning catches. When you need him, the man can get it done. So I do like that. Keeping Leonard Williams is huge. Speaking of former Jets in that aspect, so keeping him, paying him what he wanted was ideal at that aspect. Odin Gobo, if I said that properly, another good pick, cheaper $2.5 million option there. And Ragland wasn't a bad deal. So outside of Mike Glennon, that's the only thing I didn't agree with. But I mean, I guess they got him for pretty cheap in the end of it. But everything else they did perfect this offseason. So props to the Giants.
Yeah, good offseason, Giants. I will say I think I'm probably being a little bit biased, and I can't give you guys an A. I have to give you a B+. As much as I want to, I'm like, B+. You guys get a B+. But look at this next team. And this one made me laugh when I put this on here. Philadelphia Eagles. Anthony Harris, 1-year deal, $5 million. Not too shabby. Andrew Adams agreed to terms on a new deal. Reed brought him back in. Hassan Ridgeway agreed to terms on a new deal. They didn't do anything. They didn't do a damn thing but trade Carson Wentz for nothing. So I give them an F. This is probably the first team that I give an F. I said this earlier, the NFC East is going to be competitive unless it comes to the Eagles. I think the Eagles will be the worst team in the NFL and the NFC East. I'm saying that right here, right now. The NFL, I think unless they get a crazy steal in the draft, and I'm talking like either a quarterback and like Lance or trade Lance, or if they go quarterback, it'll be crazy. I think they'll be a different team. Or if they go like tackle. If they get offensive lineman, I think it'll be a decent team. But they're too dumb, and they're going to go get a receiver or a tight end, and that's not going to make their team great. That'll make their team better, but it will not make their team great. So I'm saying the Philadelphia Eagles will be the worst team that I've seen in a long time. J Money Time says D. He says hurt season. I'm saying it hurts for Philadelphia Eagles season. You know what I mean? It's tough. So I'm going to give them an F. Jello, what do you give these guys, man?
I'll give them a D. They did have pickups, but one thing I think we're forgetting here is they have 11 draft picks this year. And what
that's true
with that. So I think when they look at how much money might be tied up in certain players at that point is why not draft players you need and have them on rookie deals where they're not making a whole lot. So
that's very true.
There's that as well. So, I mean, I think the big thing they need is receivers in the end of it. They drafted John Hightower last year. They did let Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey go. So I think they're going to try to draft some receivers, and they got picks to do so. So why pay all this money for receivers when you could draft them for a whole lot cheaper and mold up what you would like?
And that's a very valid point. I can see that a lot. I'm still giving them an F. I still think they'll be horrible, but I can see the reasons that you're saying. You know what I mean? We'll move on to the last NFC East team, and one team that I do think had a pretty good offseason, Washington football team, man. Ryan Fitzpatrick, man, that's a dirty sign. 1 year, $10 million deal with the max of 12. That's a great deal for him. $10 million deals for an old buck like that who's been on basically every team. They got Lamar Miller re-signed into a 1-year deal. I like that. Curtis Samuel, another dangerous signing to a 3-year deal with $34.5 million. Definitely think they overpaid for him a little bit, but I like that they have someone that can take some attention off of Terry McLaurin now. They didn't have that second guy. Now they do. If you're going to cover Terry McLaurin double coverage, Curtis Samuel will get open, and I promise you he will do some stuff with the rock. I've seen it happen before, and I will probably see it happen again. I'm loving the Brandon Sheriff signing. He received the franchise tag. I'm loving that. David Mayo, I'm loving that as well. And then Dustin Hopkins re-signing on a 1-year veteran qualifying for $2 million deal. Includes 1.8 guaranteed. Not a bad kicker. I'm telling you, Dustin Hopkins is a decent kicker, and I only know this because of fantasy, but he's not a bad kicker. He's consistent. He's not the best. He's not the worst. So if you want someone in fantasy or someone on your team that's going to do some things and just give him like you said, a veteran's minimum, a contract worth 2.4, that's the guy to do it to. So I'm going to give these guys a B+, the same as I did the Giants. I think both of these teams had outstanding off seasons, and I'm really worried about that. Curtis Samuel, Ryan Fitzpatrick / Scary Terry / Gibson. Like, I'm just worried about this offense, man. So I'm going to give these guys a B+. What are you thinking, Jello?
I'm going to give him an A overall. Franchise tagging Sheriff was going to be a for sure thing, so that's a great thing. I get they did overpay for Curtis Samuel a little bit, but another great signing. Fitzpatrick was great. They basically turned nothing into everything at that point. William Jackson III is another good pickup as well. Some people think he got overpaid as well, but I think he got paid what he is worth. So Dustin Hopkins is another huge one. They do have Trey Way?
Mm-hmm.
They're punter as well. So I do like these additions they have here. And they got the linemen to protect Fitzpatrick and receivers to catch the ball. So I like what they're doing here.
Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting. Jello gives them an A. I give him a B+. Like I said, I'm a little bit biased of being a Dallas fan. I can't give these guys an A as much as I want to. It was a great offseason for these teams, them and the Giants, man. But we'll move on, man. The NFC North. The Chicago Bears, and a lot of teams have been laughing at these guys. Jello predicted these guys to possibly be in the Super Bowl last year. Jalen will never let it go, but hey, it's 2021-2022 season, so we're going to move on to something different, man. Chicago Bears, Andy Dalton, 1-year, $10 million deal. Do not love that being a Dallas Cowboy fan, but hey, they needed something. Allen Robinson received the franchise tag. I don't know if that's the person I would have necessarily gave the franchise tag to. I probably would have let him go. He hasn't done something. Yeah, he hasn't been a very great receiver for a couple years, in my opinion. The only thing I really do like is the Mario Edwards Jr. and Desmond Turfin. We do have a call. Give me one sec. What up, Justin Sanchez, man? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Calling all the way from Colorado.
Yes, sir, brother. What do you want to talk about today?
Man, so I just seen breaking news that the Eagles are unsure about QB Jalen Hurts. So they can't come up with a consensus if he's going to be the starter or not. Can you guys just talk about who you guys think maybe they'll pick up in the draft with those 11 picks, and if one of them will be a quarterback?
Oh, wow. So, honestly, I think the Eagles are in a do-or-die situation, and I was just saying on the podcast that I think the Eagles will be the worst team in the NFL, worst team in that division. Now, with that breaking news said that Jalen Hurts might not be the starter, they're not sure. They just traded the number 6 pick, so it's not like they're getting Justin Fields. It's not happening. But they have potential to get maybe a Mac Jones or a Trey Lance. I think they're going to use I think if they get a quarterback, they'll use their 12th overall pick on one. I don't think it'll work. Philly's a hard place to play as a quarterback, as a rookie quarterback. And Jalen Hurts has always been the type of guy to compete in his career. You know what I mean? He's competed against Tua. He's competed against quarterbacks at OU, whether it's a Spencer Rattler or anybody like that. And I don't think it's anything new if he has to compete against, a Mac Jones, who he's probably already known because he's played for Alabama, or Trey Lance, who kind of plays a lot like him. So I think it'll be interesting to see what Philadelphia does, but I don't think it'll make a difference in, I think it'll definitely make a splash in the draft, but I don't think it'll make a difference in their outcome of the team. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, it would be cool to see them trade up some picks with some people and go make a splash and some big names because they need it.
Like you said, 11 picks. Maybe they can trade away like 4 of them and get into the top 5.
No, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
No problem, man. Take it easy. Appreciate the call,
Joe.
bro.
Yep.
Jello, what do you think about that? What do you think the Eagles are going to do?
Hurts is going to be the starter.
Do you think so?
You can't. I mean, he played great last year for the fact that look at the coaching staff he had, the players he had to play with, and everything else like that. They're going to go receiver. They're definitely going to go receiver with that first pick. Why would they trade their 6th pick if they wanted a quarterback so bad? Why? Because they don't want a quarterback. They want a receiver. Devonta Smith. I've said this once. I'll say it again. They're not going quarterback. They are. It's not going to happen.
My thing is like, if you trade away Carson Wentz, you have to be sure that you're good on Jalen Hurts. And now it's just breaking news that we're not sure on Jalen Hurts. Bro, it's like Miami's going through the same thing with Tua. What is up with these Alabama quarterbacks? Like, what is up with these guys that's won national championships and Heisman's that like we don't know about? Are they not good teammates, or are they not great players? Like, I'm not sure. What is it in your opinion?
Well, this is my thing. Is just like everything that a team does, they blame on the quarterback. The defense struggles. It must be the quarterback's fault. Like, they're always finding some way to blame the quarterback at that point when it's not their fault. I mean, these kids were rookies last year, and neither of them even started a full season at that point. Like, you can't give up on a player before he's even had a chance at that point. That's what I don't get anymore. Look at how many players could have fallen off without taking that chance at that point. So, I mean, look at Josh Allen. People are still unsure about him, and look what he's doing. Sam Darnold's this year is going to be his year, for example. People give up on quarterbacks before they get a chance. He didn't have the right coaching. He didn't have the right players around him. He didn't have a healthy offensive line, and he's still dropping 300-400 yards a game with no names. So you get him a big name receiver. You get him some offensive linemen with your 11 picks, and look at what he can do. So I think it's all just talk. I mean, your words don't speak, but your actions do. So I think he's going to be the starter, no doubt.
I hope so, man. And I think it'll be interesting to see what the Philadelphia Eagles do. Like I said, they're going to be horrible either way they go. But it'll be interesting to see exactly what they do, bro. But Jello, back to the Bears. What did you give them? What grade did you give them? I gave them I think it's a C.
I give them an F, and I'll list this out right now. People can hate on Trubisky all he wanted, but he was the one person who could win there. And so you give up Kyle Fuller to open up $14 million in cap space, to give Andy Dalton $10 million, to let Trubisky go to the Bills for $2.5 million. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that is pretty stupid.
The Bears
when you explain it like that.
Lined up for next year. They have no quarterback under contract for the next year, with Foles being on the last year of his and Dalton signing a 1 year. They have no quarterback. Allen Robinson is going to leave whenever his contract is up, or whenever this happens here. He's going.
I think so too. That's what I'm saying. Why would he even agree to that tag? Like, just let him go? He doesn't need to be there.
And then
I don't think he wants to be there. Like,
their whole defense. I know Wilson, they had offered Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and a few other things as well. So they're really saying screw their defense, and they want a big quarterback. Yet they pick up Dalton for $10 million and let Trubisky walk for $2.5 million.
Do you think Khalil Mack is ready to get out of there? You think he's ready to jump ship?
Probably. I mean, wouldn't you if your team tries to trade you every single year or talks about trading you every year?
After trading for you for the whole goddamn bucket, you know what I mean? They gave up like a first round and a fourth round, like a bunch of stuff for him.
Basically, that's what the Raiders took with the pick from him. And why wouldn't you? Why would you stay on a team that's not loyal to you or anybody else, for example, who's making obvious, stupid decisions? So I would get out of there as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah. Matt Faraci says, like you, I would rather have Mitch over Andy Dalton any day, bro.
Mitch is a winner. We forget that this man's a Pro Bowl quarterback. That Foles was the one losing games for him last year at that point. Trubisky was the one who really came in and won it for him. So, and that game Trubisky got pulled and they put Foles in should have never happened. He threw one interception. And he had 2 touchdowns at that point. Like, that was it. And Foles came in and did what? Sucked, per usual. So,
dead ass. I don't know what's going on with that team, bro. But so you give him an F, I give him a C minus. I give him a C minus just to be nice. Like, I give him a C minus, literally just being the nicest I've ever been to any team. But yeah, that was not a good good move by Andy Dalton. But moving on to the next one, man. Detroit Lions, Jared Goff in a trade with Matthew Stafford and the Rams. They got Jamal Williams signed 2-year deal worth $7.5 million. Rashad Perriman, the wide receiver. Terrell Williams, the wide receiver. I don't know. It's not great, but it's not horrible. I definitely think that they've been improving. I definitely think that they've been improving under the new head coach, the new GM that they've had. Motor City Dan Campbell. He's definitely doing his thing out there in Detroit. But I'm not going to say this is an A because it's definitely not. I'll go ahead and give these guys a B-, just because I think they play in a harder division, and I think that Matthew Stafford will do better in LA than Jared Goff will do better in Detroit, and that's the only reason that I don't have a lot of hope with this whole Jared Goff trade in his situation. I think that the Rams kind of sent him away to kind of like die, in my opinion. And they're like, oh, we're going to get Matthew Stafford and bring him back to life. And I think exactly that's what's going to happen. I don't think I don't think Jared Goff is going to do very well. And I think Matthew Stafford will flourish in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give these guys a B-. I don't think it's going to be the greatest, but I don't think it's the worst. So I don't know. Good, decent little free agency. Lisa Gibson says, good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all doing? Good morning, Auntie. I'm well. Welcome to the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. Appreciate you for tuning in. I still do have your mug, so just hit me up today, later, or something, or whatever, and we'll get it figured out. But Jello, how do you feel about the Detroit Lions, brother?
I give them a B because this is my big thing. They got a steal in Jamal Williams at that point. Everyone said he was going to get this huge just all the money basically, and boom, they got him for a steal. They did pick up Rashad Perriman, like that pickup. Terrell Williams, Josh Hill from the Saints, another good pickup. But I think the most slept on re-signing is going to be Romeo Okwara. So they drafted his brother, I think his name's Julian, last year as well. The man is a beast. I know he had struggles in certain areas, but I think he's just going to be one of the breakout stars this year. So can't wait to see it. Jared Goff, will see how that goes, but I do like what the Lions are doing here, so they're doing something smart for once in their life.
Man, Stafford is from LA too. He will be revised. Goff has always been trash in my eyes. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So you give these guys just a B average?
Yeah.
I agree. Like I said, it's not like the greatest, but it's not the worst. I've seen worse, and I've definitely seen better,
And we all forget that Jared Goff was a Super Bowl quarterback as well. I know that Super Bowl is probably one of the most boring in the few years, but I mean, he still took them to a Super Bowl. So
yeah, I completely agree. So we'll go ahead and give these guys a B. It's nothing special, you know what I mean? But one thing that I do have to say about this next signing, ridiculous. Not a lot done, but definitely one of the best signings I've seen in a minute.
Don't worry, run your mouth.
Aaron Jones got his money, bro. Re-signing on a 4-year contract worth $48 million, $13 million signing bonus, $20 million over the first 2 years. $7 million roster bonus is due on the third day of the league year in 2023, with $16 million due in 2023 and $12 million due in 2024. Bro, his contract is so tricky. His lawyer was like, "Yo, you won't get money every 6 months." Every 6 months, they're going to pay you about $13 million, and I'm going to figure that out somehow, some way. And he's like, all right. Now you look at his contract, you're like, every year he's getting like $14 million guaranteed, and that's on top of what he's making overall. Like, how? How are you doing this? But, hey, shout out to Aaron Jones and the Green Bay Packers. Didn't do much, but I think that's all they had to do. If they would have let him go to Miami, A.J. Dillon is good. I think he could have took that number 1 role spot. But I don't know, bro. Aaron Jones is definitely he's a difference maker, bro, and he will be on my fantasy team next year.
For the money, though, I don't like it at this point.
Giving him an A.
I'm going C. Great player, but way too much money into it at that point. With the fact that you could have Jamal Williams, who could be the same caliber player, just never really got the chance with them, for $3.25 million. I think they're just pouring too much money into him at this point. He did have injury issues as well.
And their rookie backup, their rookie that they just drafted, A.J. Dillon, is on a rookie contract. Like, he's not getting paid shit.
And I think Jamal Williams would have been a better overall pick because they owe him a lot of money down the line. So how's that going to affect signing certain people, for example, at that point? So I do like the player. Don't get me wrong. I like Aaron Jones, but I don't think he's worth this much money, in my opinion.
Man, everyone is hype about it but you, Jello. Justin said this man deserves it. Matt Faraci said, Mans is getting paid. Justin also says, got that Lombardi money. That's what I'm saying. They were that close to the Super Bowl. And if they would have lost him, I think they would have been so much further back. But with him, they just stay right there in the mix, in my opinion. It's like, what in Green Bay, they don't need much. They really don't need much. It's like they have a good defense. They have a great quarterback, and now they're receiving. They could use another receiver, I think, to take some attention off of Devontae Adams, which I think they were probably addressing this year's draft. There's a bunch of receivers, like I just said, Randall Moore. If they go ahead and get him out of Purdue, if they go ahead and get Devontae Moore out of Ole Miss, his routes are ridiculous. They are Adams-esque. You know what I mean? So, and I should have brought a video on here to show you guys, but it was ridiculous. But I think if Green Bay gets somebody, one receiver, that team is Super Bowl bound no matter what. And that's what I'm saying. You guys think Tampa Bay is going to run it back through that? Through Green Bay? If they have to go back to the frozen tundra, you think they're going to run it back? I don't think so. But I give this signing an A, dog.
Like I said, I like the player, not the contract.
I agree with that. Moving on to the next team, man. Minnesota Vikings, bro. Wide receiver Chad Beebe agreed to team or terms on a 1-year contract. I don't necessarily see anything I like except the Patrick Peterson signing. And I don't necessarily like him as a number one corner because I've been saying this for weeks upon weeks. You can't put an old dog on a young dog. A young dog will break his ass. Like, it just won't happen. But I like him from the perspective that he can do a lot of teaching in that defensive backfield. You know what I mean? Minnesota is not a bad defensive team. They're not a bad backfield team. And if he can go back there and teach a lot of these young guys how to read coverages better and how to maybe take their angles better on tackles or how to play the ball or how to strip the ball a little better. Like, Patrick Peterson was a GOAT. We all know in his prime, one of the best cornerbacks ever. He reminds me a lot of prime time, a lot of Deion Sanders in a lot of ways in his prime. But now he's kind of past it, and I think he knows it. I think everyone else knows it. So I think that was more of like a veteran signing. We're going to do this to teach. But I really like that. You know what I mean? I don't think a lot of teams think like that, and I don't think a lot of players will agree like that, like Patrick Peterson, I think will. I think he'll go there and definitely make a difference in like the chalk room. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give this signing a B, maybe a B minus. Nothing special anywhere else. They still have a lot of problems on, the offensive side of the ball, whether it's rushing, passing. They have their games where they can't do both, but they have games where they can do one really well. So I think if they can fix that, I think they'll be a really good team. But on the defensive side of the ball, I really like them. So I'm going to give these guys a B minus. What are you thinking, Jello?
I'm going C. I mean, I like the Nick Vigil. I do like Peterson. I know they got BB on the minimum contract, but I think there's so much more they could have done that they didn't do. Once again, like we see teams like the Cowboys and a few others down the line, there's so much they could have done and they didn't. So it's a lower grade for me.
I agree. Justin also says C, but he does say Patrick Peterson was a good pickup. And like I said, nothing special. Jello says nothing special. Let's give him a C. I'm giving him a B just because I think that was a good coaching aspect. I think for the locker room, that was a great pickup, and I really do like it. But, man, let's move on to one of the most interesting divisions in football, the NFC South, man, right now. We'll start with the Atlanta Falcons. Already a really bad team. Didn't do much this year in free agency. Got Lee Smith acquired in a trade with Buffalo Bills in exchange for a late-round 2022 draft pick. So he's nothing. Brandon Copeland signed 1-year deal, and then Eric Harris signed 1-year deal. So they're not really making a difference in their team. There was a lot of rumors last year that they would let go of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and maybe rebuild that team. I'm not seeing any of those moves being made at all. And I think it's way too late for them to make any of those moves now. They do have the number 4 overall pick. It does look like they're taking an offensive lineman or maybe a defensive player, maybe a receiver. I don't know what they're going to do. But the way that they're looking, they're not making any changes from what they were last year, which is a really bad team that really couldn't finish. You know what I mean? Not a great coaching staff, not a great team. Julio couldn't stay healthy all year. The only really bright side of that whole team was Calvin Ridley. You know what I mean? And he was just outstanding. And I think he's starting to get maybe a couple years under his belt, and he's starting to look at this team and be like, man, I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting tired of playing this really good division and being the worst team all the time. I'm tired of my Robin to my Batman being hurt all the damn time. I can't keep doing this all year long for several years at a time. So I don't really see Atlanta doing anything. I'm going to go ahead and give these guys also an F, my second F of all 32 teams. So I think Atlanta's going to be horrible, definitely with the Eagles. But what do you think on this, Joe?
I give them an F as well. So many positions they needed to cover, and they couldn't do any of it. So I don't like what they're doing here. I think they could have got a lot out of like a Julio, for example, and they could have really adjusted their team, but they didn't. So I give them an F, no doubt.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was not a good free agency for a bad team, bro. Moving on, Carolina Panthers, man, signed David Moore, agreed to 2-year contract worth $4.75 million. Not bad. Cam Irving, the offensive tackle, free agent deal with the Panthers. I kind of like that. They definitely took care of their linebacker needs with Denzel Perryman and Hassan Riddick. I definitely do like those. And then they got Morgan Fox, my man out of CSU Pueblo, dog, played for the Rams for a little while, but they definitely got Morgan Fox on in a 2-year deal, $8.1 million. I don't necessarily love this team, and it wasn't the greatest offseason signing, but they're definitely attempting. You can see that the Panthers are trying to make moves to better themselves in this hard division, unlike the Falcons. These guys are making moves. They're spending money. They're kind of out there making rumors about getting Deshaun Watson, and they have a good pick at 8 that they're probably going to spend on a quarterback. The Panthers are making moves. So I don't like this team. I don't like the free agency they have, but I like the drive that they have. I definitely see them going up the ladder and not staying, content or going down like the Atlanta Falcons or like the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what I mean? So I'll give these guys a C-. I'm not going to go into the D's or the F's, but nothing great here. But I do like the drive behind these guys. So I'll give them a C-. But what do you think, Joe?
I like their pickups. They got another steal with David Moore. I do like Dan Arnold as well. I do like that pickup, not only on the blocking side, but everything else. Denzel Perryman, not a horrible pickup. Same with Hassan Reddick at that point. I do like the Pat Eiflin signing as well. And then, across the board, they addressed all their needs, getting Morgan Fox, and then re-signing their long snapper. I know that's not in a real important position, but for this team it is. So I do like that as well. So I'll give them a B. I think they could have done a little more, but I do like the pickups they have so far.
I completely agree, man. I think that was a great take. Matthew Faraci says, Morgan Fox is a Fountain boy. Played against him in high school in a scrimmage. Shout out to Fountain Fort Carson High School. That's where I will be running my 40 here in a couple of weeks. Hey, my boy Matt Faraci playing against NFL players. It's crazy to think that we've played sports with some of these players who are in the NFL, the NBA. Tony used to be teammates with the NBA player for the Spurs. I've tackled Philip Lindsay and stuff like that. Like, it's been crazy. You know what I mean? I tackled Kalen Balazs. He played really good for the Chargers and the Dolphins a couple times last year. But hey, man, it's crazy to see what these guys are doing now. So shout out to Morgan Fox. Shout out to these guys who we've played against here in Colorado. Doing big things, man. But moving on to a team that, we don't like to talk about too much because there is a certain fan that thinks they're going to get everybody, and this proves that they're not getting everybody in free agency, man. So the New Orleans Saints, man, they signed quarterback Jameis Winston, re-signing on a 1-year, $5.5 million deal that includes $4.5 signing bonus, $1 million fully guaranteed. They're not paying him jack nothing. When they just gave Taysom Hill 4-year, 140, 120 guaranteed. Like, bro, I'm confused. They went out from Chicago and got Ty Montgomery, or he was re-signing, so I guess he was already there. PJ Williams agreed to a 1-year deal, and then Marcus Williams received a franchise tag. I like the Marcus Williams franchise tag, and the Jameis Winston signing. I like it, but I think you guys should have gave him more years, more deals. Let the fans and him know that you are our guy, that we believe in you. Because right here, we're just like, we're Cam Newton in him. We're testing him out. We're testing the waters. We're seeing what he can do this year. And if nothing, he's gone. That's what you guys are saying. So I don't like it. I'm going to give these guys a C-. I don't really see anything special here. And I know a lot of fans, and Jalen probably doesn't like hearing this. And, I love you, Jay, but I just can't see the New Orleans Saints being good. I can't see them being a powerhouse team anymore without, Drew Brees. So I'm going to give these guys a C- until at least I can see what they do. You know what I mean? But what do you think, Joe?
I'd go C as well. And this is a big one. So not only do they really not pick up anybody, but they let Janoris Jenkins, Trey Hendrickson, and Emmanuel Sanders are all gone now. So, and there's not a lot of depth when it comes to this. Ty Montgomery isn't a factor. I'm pretty sure he was just the returner last year. So Armon, nothing big. Hurts. PJ Williams is trash. Marcus Williams is okay, but you let when you're, in my opinion, Hendrickson was better than Cameron Jordan. In my opinion, I watched this man 3 sacks in 3 plays. Like, the man was a difference maker. And Janoris Jenkins gone, and Emmanuel Sanders to me they needed him more than Michael Thomas. Because Michael Thomas is kind of like a cancer to that team at this point. Look how many different issues he had, everything from injuries to punching teammates and everything else like that. So, I don't know. They let a lot of good players walk, and of course, Jay thinks I'm tripping, but
Yeah, I was about to say I knew this was coming, bro. Jay, he said B. Why pay Taysom so much though?
I told you, I really think Taysom's going to be the starter.
He probably will, but I don't agree with it. I don't necessarily like it, but that's what it's looking like. You don't give this guy that much money to play your utility.
Well, I guess for what he does for the team, let's outside of the quarterback position, everything else he does for the team, he kind of takes away 5 positions at that point. So I think that might have something to do with it, but I know
that's what I'm saying though. Hill plays everything. Why would you give a running back / receiver so much money is what I'm saying. I get you give a quarterback that much, but you don't give a running back or a kick returner. You don't give that kind of money to.
You do when he's going to be your starting quarterback.
Exactly what I'm saying, but you can't do that with Jameis Winston. You can't put him everywhere. You can maybe line him in a wildcat and he might like run a first down with his big ass, but that's about it. He's not going to do anything that Hill can do. I like Jameis Winston.
Yep.
I like his mind better, but dude, the way the game's coming, Taysom Hill is going to play.
I'll put money on it now. Michael Thomas has another crappy season this year. Drew Brees in my opinion, Drew Brees made him better, in my opinion.
I think so too. You said Winston's going to start. Jay, we will see, man. We're going to bring you on the pod. I will probably have you on the draft show representing the Saints. You know, I'm trying to have like a couple friends and a couple buddies on that draft show representing different teams. And so when their team picks, we'll get their opinion. And if not their team, we'll just chop it up and watch the draft and stuff like that. It'll be fun, bro. But Jalen, you're probably my representation for the New Orleans Saints. Jealous for the Broncos. I'm for the Cowboys, of course. Justin's for the Raiders. Jason's for the Giants. I'm pretty sure my dad's going to be for the Dolphins. That'll be interesting. I'm going to need to find a couple more people. I got 10 spots open, and that's about 5 or 6 taken. So I got 4 or 5 more. So let me know if you guys got a team that wasn't just said and that you want to be in, man. The draft show, April 29th, is going to be a blast. So plan around it, bro. But let's get into the last team in the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, and we talked about this a little bit ago, bro. Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Shaquille Barrett, Levante David, Ryan Suckup. They had a great offseason. I'm definitely giving these guys an A. But it's nothing new from what their coach just said was going to happen and what the expectations are for these guys. They're just coming off the Super Bowl. The coach said, we're going for 2. They're not going nowhere. And they're backing it up with their free agency move. So I'm going to give these guys an A. I'm excited to see what Tampa Bay does. But like I said, I don't know if they can go back to back, but it's looking like they're headed that way. So what do you think, Angelo?
I mean, I give them an A+.
And that's what I even give Jalen credit. He's a Saints fan giving them an A+. So shout out to you. And same as Jello, A+.
They did win a Super Bowl and then kept every single player, which never happened. So, I mean, they kept every starter. It was nuts. So I guess it goes to show just Brady's legacy and how much people believe they can do this again. So the fact that nobody left. But a few people did get paid. So there's that as well. Shaquille Barrett got his bag. So, I mean, was it you who kept saying Gronk was going to go to Miami?
I did. Yeah, that was definitely me.
Was happened. He only came back to play with Brady. But,
dude, and he's on a 1-year deal, $8 million deal. I think he's kind of in the same boat as like Tom, where he's like, I think as soon as Tom goes, he's gone too. He's like, yeah, I'm done too. Like I'm out. So I'm starting to hop on your guys' wave. What you and Tony were saying with, hop on the wave. He's only playing with Tom. He only wants to play with Tom. I'm starting to really, really believe it. You know what I mean? So, and little J6 says exactly, Jello. Jalen, like I said, shout out to you for being non-biased, giving your rival team that you hate one of the most an A+. I had to do the same thing with the Giants and the Redskins. I didn't give them an A, but hey. But we're moving on to the last division in football right now. The NFC West, man. We'll start off with the Arizona Cardinals, and this team was one of the top teams in free agency as well, man. AJ Green, they went out and got him. JJ Watt for a steal. Matt Prater, the kicker. They got a kicker who can kick now, man. I'm gonna give these guys a B+. I don't want to hop him into the A category yet because we don't know exactly where JJ Watt's at with his play, if he's on the decline with his career, if he's still the same. I would hope that it's the same JJ Watt, and I think he'll have a huge impact in that locker room. But I'm interested to see what that impact will be on the field. I'm really excited with the AJ Green signing, though. I think that's what bumps him up for me. AJ Green's finally at a place where he's going to get the ball, where he has a chance to be a number 1, number 2 type player. They have Hopkins, so it's going to get a lot of pressure off of him. And they have a quarterback who can sling it to him in K1. If he doesn't run the ball, he can throw the ball as well. You know what I mean? And that's what Lamar needs to learn how to do. If he can play like Kyler Murray and run the rock when needed, but keep his eyes up the field and throw it when needed as well, that'll be a great quarterback. So I'm going to give these guys a B+, A-. I'm going to say B+. But it was a great offseason move for the Arizona Cardinals, man. But what are you thinking on this, Jello?
I give them an A all day. I mean, the Rodney Hudson trade alone was huge at that point. Then you have AJ Green, JJ Watt. They did get Matt Prater, which to me is still one of the best kickers in the league. Like,
yeah,
we're across the line. They did everything they needed to, and they picked the right players. I know a lot of people say they're old and they're washed up, but they got players they needed. I mean, when you think of it at that point too, you're going to have Hopkins on one side, AJ Green on the other. You still have Christian Kirk. You have the speedster and Andy Isabella at that point. They lost Kenyon Drake, but that's not a huge thing at that point with the other running backs they do have, drafting a player like Eno Benjamin last year as well. So
yeah,
this team, the ceiling is so high for this team for what they can do. And I think this is their chance to really show what they're made of.
I agree, especially in this division, bro. This division was really, really close last year. And if you make one change that can pull you away from any of the teams in this division, whether it's the 49ers, whether it's the Seahawks, whether it's the Rams, this was the team that did it. You know what I mean? And it looks like the 49ers are trying to do it with the 3rd overall pick maybe. But we'll see. You know what I mean? These guys are actually showing what they're doing. So shout out to the Arizona Cardinals. Jello gives them an A. I give them a B+, A-. Loving AJ Green, loving Rodney Hudson, and loving JJ Watt. JJ is not better than TJ.
No.
He is not, bro. I'm telling you, you're crazy as hell.
He could have been, but I mean, he's much older than TJ as well.
That's true. I'm saying, like, maybe as a career right now, JJ is older, so he has a longer career. He's done more. He's a greater career player. But like, if you're looking off like the last two years, TJ is better than JJ easily. Younger brother,
he's
does big brother
than him too. So
exactly, you know what I mean. J Money Tom says TJ, Team TJ. Yeah, Team TJ for sure. Moving on to the second team, Los Angeles Rams didn't do a lot, but I'm really loving what they did with their money, man. Traded for Matthew Stafford in the trade with Jared Goff. Loving that. And then they got Leonard Floyd, signed 4-year, $64 million contract. Includes $32.5 million fully guaranteed. They may have overplayed for him a little bit, but he's a baller. He's he's really the quarterback of that defense, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I think it was great money spent on 2 good players. So I'm going to give these guys a B. I don't want to pop them up into the A because I haven't seen what Matthew Stafford can do with this team yet. We've all known what Jared Goff can do with this Sean McVay system. And I'm excited to put Matthew Stafford in it and see what kind of, rank it makes in the league. So I'll give these guys a B average. But what are you thinking on it, Jello?
I mean, I like the Stafford trade. Don't get me wrong. But Leonard Floyd, for that much money, was stupid. They literally got finessed by the Giants. The Giants came out, made an offer that was higher than theirs, and they came back and did that. He is not worth that money. I'm sorry. He's not. They should have let him go.
That's what I said. They may have overpaid a little bit for him.
They're negative $51 million cap space, by the way.
And they did that?
That's what I'm saying. They're negative. They have the most money spent on their team in the league. They have the most expansion when it comes. Wow, sorry, expansion when it comes to their money and what they've done with it.
Dude, they're going to be hurting
You
in
know,
about
pull that-
2022, 2023, or they're going to be hurting.
They have so much money in their defense and Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. It's why players like Morgan Fox left because, look, Leonard Floyd got a 4-year $64. Like, no.
He's like, where's my money at, bro? They're like, we got some pennies for you.
To me, this is just like the Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams talk. You could have had this player for – there's two similar players, but this one was, 90% cheaper at that point, and you still went with the most expensive option because that's what you think is better, but I don't like this. Not whatsoever. I think the Rams are being real stupid right now with their money. Outside of Stafford, I do like that pickup, but
so what's your grade?
I give him a D. And if Stafford in there, it's an F for what they're playing Floyd right now.
I get it. I can see it.
The Giants straight up finessed their ass when it came to Floyd.
That's what the Giants do.
Yeah, it was stupid.
That's what the Giants do. Moving on to the second to last team, man. San Francisco 49ers, and keep in mind that they did do all this on top of having the number 3 overall pick now. So they went and got re-signed Kyle Juszczyk. He's a great player, but as a fullback, how much can you do? He's a great player, though. I'm loving the Trent Williams re-signed $138.06 million contract. A lot of money coming into him, but he's a great player, man. Everyone else, Emmanuel Mosley is not bad, but at $12 million, this $13 million or $13.5 million max value, I think that might be a little high for a player like him. So I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a C. I don't want to give them a C plus or C minus. I'm going to give them C average. I don't think they did horrible, but they definitely are not making their team much better in free agency. That's why I said it has a lot to do with what they do with this 3rd overall pick. I think what makes these guys offseason worth it all. You know what I mean? If they don't do anything special with that 3rd overall pick, I think this is all for nothing. All these players that they're signing, all this money that they're spending, especially on, a player like Kyle Juszczyk, $27 million. Like, that's a lot for a fullback, especially if you don't have a quarterback or a team around him that's good. So,
but that's a 5-year deal, though. So you basically locked him into your organization for a bit. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. But, Trent Williams got some straight-up just quarterback money at that point. They have some really good players, but once again, I think they could have done a little more overall.
I do see that.
But I think they're definitely drafting a quarterback either to back up Jimmy G or for Jimmy G to be their backup. But once again, that's going to be a lot of money tied up in a backup quarterback overall. So, but I think they're going to have to. They can't afford really anything else at this point. But they still have players like they do have Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa. I think there's a lot of young talent on this team that can really do something. I'm pretty sure they still have Mostert, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe they do.
Matt Breida, he left, so I know he's gone.
Yep.
But so we'll just we'll wait and see here. But I like the young talent they have. We'll just see what they do at quarterback. But they do have a lot of money tied up in protecting whatever quarterback they do have. So we'll see how that goes.
I agree. And like Jay Moneytime says, see the 49ers are flat to me, not hype about anything except Deebo. Deebo is good, but he's not the greatest. And like you said, they're flat. It's like they went to the Super Bowl, and then after that Super Bowl loss, they just lost everything, all confidence, all great football IQ. Like they lost everything. It was like the freaking Space Jam came and just took all their talent. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. They are not good anymore. I don't really know what they're doing out there.
Another player last year. So
they have George Kittle, yeah, and he tried to come back and just couldn't do it. That was a fantasy bust for real. It was tough for him. But moving on to the last team in our picks, man. Seattle Seahawks, man. They re-signed Chris Carson, 2-year, $14.625 million deal. Gerald Everett. I'm loving the Gerald Everett signing. I really do like this. I think it'll take a lot of attention off of Lockett and DK, and he can catch the ball. He's a baller. Gerald Everett, 1-year deal worth $7 million, including $6 million fully guaranteed. So they didn't give him much, but he definitely got his money. He's getting what he wants. And Poona Ford, I don't necessarily love that re-signing, but I think it's definitely going to help them a lot with him there. And then there's a lot of other players that they just kind of rinked and dinked around the roster that I think will be fine. I don't love this free agency signing, but Gerald Everett makes this everything for me. You know what I mean? I really do like the Chris Carson re-signing as well. I think without him, what would they have done at the running back spot? And they only have 3 draft picks, so it's not like they can go out and get a Travis Etienne or a Najee Harris. They're going to have to give up a lot for a pick like that, and they don't have a lot to give. So I think this Gerald Everett signing makes everything to me. I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a C+. That knocks them to a C+ for me. So what are you thinking on the Seattle Seahawks free agency signing, show?
I give them a B. I do like the Chris Carson re-signing. I do like the Gerald Everett pickup at tight end, especially losing a player like David Moore and Greg Olsen to retirement this year. That trade for Gabe Jackson, another big pickup. Don't get what the Raiders are doing, giving up their whole line. They got Posich. Poona Ford, didn't see a lot out of him last year, but Akella Witherspoon, I mean, that's another one, lower end guy, but you got him for a good price. So overall, not bad. They got some guys to protect Wilson, which was their number one thing. So we'll see how that goes for him this year.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree, man. Seattle Seahawks doing their thing. They're trying to compete in this hard division. NFC West, man, it's going to be crazy this year, man. One more thing before we get into commercial break and go into hour 3 to finish off the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. I do want to just talk about free agents who are going to blow up on their new teams, in mine and Dale's opinion. So let me go first. I got a couple players, like I was just talking about, man. Gerald Everett for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he will go ridiculous for them. I think it'll take a lot of attention off of DK, who has a lot of attention. Tyler Lockett's kind of the backbone of that whole offense. And Russell Wilson loves the tight end when he has one. It showed with Hollister. It showed with a lot of tight ends that he's had in the future or in the past. So I think Gerald Everett will just be outstanding here in the Seattle Seahawks offense. Matt Judon for the New England Patriots, man. They have a great defense. They have a great scheme. And this guy is a baller. A lot of people think this is a bad pickup. A lot of people think he won't live up to the kind of money he's getting paid, which he is getting paid a lot of money. But I think Matt Judon is happy in New England. I think he's ready to go. I think he's ready to roll. And probably the most dangerous free agent signing of all, in my opinion, Curtis Samuel to the Washington football team. Like I said earlier in the podcast, man, I think it'll take a lot of attention off of scary Terry McLaurin. And with him open, Ryan Fitzmagic is going to find him. Ryan Fitzmagic is a veteran quarterback. He can read his keys 1, 2, 3, 4. And if one's not open through 3, he's going to 4. And that's going to be Curtis Samuel deep in the corner of the end zone, wide open, man. So I think Curtis Samuel will go ridiculous. So I got Gerald Everett, Matt Judon, and Curtis Samuel, man. But Jello, what's a couple players that you think will just go crazy, that you think sign to a new team, that you think will just do their thing on the new team? You know what I mean?
So one definitely is going to be Kenny Golladay. If he can stay healthy, I think this man just goes nuts next year. He's going to make cornerbacks miss. He's in a good division as well when it comes to defenses on the other end, where you have teams like the Eagles. I mean, they do have Darius Slay, but outside of that, they struggle in that defensive back position. Same with the Cowboys and the Redskins at that point, losing some big names out there. So I think he's going to do great. I mean, Kenyon Drake's probably another one for the Raiders. Be a 1-2 punch with him and Jacobs. It's going to be if one doesn't do it, the other will. So that's going to be a huge pickup. And then it's tough, but I'm going to give it to Kyle Fuller as well.
I think Kyle Fuller will be cold in Denver. I agree with that.
I do like Ronald Darby, but I don't think he comes close to what Fuller is. Fuller being a huge Pro Bowl cornerback at that point. I think he's going to be a decision maker, especially in a tough quarterback division like the AFC West with Herbert, Mahomes, stuff like that. I think he's going to be the decision maker on how well those offenses do overall.
Oh, I completely agree on that. That's well said, bro. Some free agents that they're just going to go crazy for their new teams, man. We're going to get into commercial break. When we come back in hour 3, brother, we're going to talk some March Madness and some NBA happening. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on, a lot happening. And we're going to get right into it as soon as it starts, bro. So on the other side of hour 2 commercial, man, we're going to be in hour 3 talking some March Madness. So stay tuned for the Rick T Podcast. Episode 38, hour 3, man.
I'ma keep it triller than I ever had. Who's that one little girl? That's why you looking sad. I just took a don't be mad. And she called me Poppy, I am not her dad.
On this one, check out this leap. Way up and over. And the crowd went crazy. Skittles were flying out of the crowd. And then they had to get their Skittle scoopers out and come pick it all up.
And the rappers, too.
It was a moment of insanity.
How you doing, young fella?
Who in the hell you calling a young fella? Okay, so where's the heat?
Oh, it's coming.
Ooh. Yep, it's kicking.
It's kicking now?
You still have to go run yet, right?
Run?
Yeah, you go power walk. Is that what you're going to do?
Oh, I hope not. Y'all said y'all was over 55 and y'all acting like y'all 15. All right, come on, let's go. Y'all want to go? Uh-huh, come on then.
Welcome to pickleball.
This is the first time I've ever heard of this game. You know what? You cheating.
That's not cheating.
Oh, okay.
That's just being better than you.
Oh, I got something for you. I got some sweet heat.
Lynch, running back, Seattle Seahawks, a.k.a. Beast Mode. Favorite candy? Skittles. Favorite Gilmore Girl character? Lorelai.
Now, gentlemen, are you familiar with this game? Have you played Mortal Kombat before, any of the versions?
I played before.
Yeah?
In video arcade games, you know, you hit every button and you always beat your board.
Right?
I'm button mashing for sure, though.
You're a button masher.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a technique. It's go like this and then like this.
That's looking dirty. All right, stop it. Don't do that. Don't just keep it clean. Okay. This is a show primarily for children.
Whoa! Point blank in broad daylight. Rockin' by, baby. Yeah. That's that New Jack City, boy. Oh. Oh! What the was that?
No! You can't do that!
Yes, the you can.
What? Cassie Cage.
Lick the gun, 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 lick the gun.
No, you coming back next year?
Is your bitch coming back? Nigga, you lying. Oh. No. Hold on, calm down. Tell him, what's up with Blood?
Hey, what's up, Blood?
You want a motherfucking sandwich or something? Damn, boy, you studying that like it's a math test or something, boy. Oh, okay. I haven't seen this. Yeah, look, mother.
Yeah, look, mother.
Oh, okay, yeah, they go to squad. What's happening?
It's hog poo. Pretty fresh as well. That's still wet.
That mean he right around the corner or something, huh? If we going, bud, we gotta go, because I'd rather rock off impulse. You know what I'm talking about? Hold on, blood. We ain't got no longer stick. I got you, cuz. We finna go run up on a hog right now. We done made me a spear right quick. You know, little MacGyver, little quick thing right quick. That ain't no little ass animal. That big ass thing right there. Hold on, didn't you say this thing was aggressive?
Yeah, that's why. We've got to use the element of surprise.
I told you, man, give me the blammy, bruh, and I'll pop it from right here, though.
Anyone can hunt an animal with a rifle. This takes a little bit of courage and a little bit of skill.
Yeah, I ain't got no skill. I got courage, but I ain't got...
But he hasn't forgotten his hometown.
Bring that little weak shit back over here again, boy. I'm gonna do the same thing.
Pride.
Oh, yeah, sit his ass.
Oh. You got any dreads?
Yeah. You need one?
Can I have a dread?
For real?
Yeah, we'll get a fire going.
Bruh cut off one of my dreads to start a campfire.
Okay, this is cool. Look, here we go.
And was juiced about it.
There you go. Marshawn Lynch dreads.
Oh, that thing ain't got no seasoning, no nothing.
Well, I didn't say it was going to taste great. Oh, I have got something, though, as a treat. You're going to like this. A little birdie said, these were your favorite candy.
Mm-hmm. Skittles.
What's up? What are you doing?
I'm looking for the Skittles.
I can't believe he's sneaking into the camp to try and get the candy.
Welcome to Scotland.
What are you doing on a Skittles bike?
It's not a Skittles bike. It's a Skittles bag connected to my bike. Where the ooh. Hey, them things real, bro.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, he got a soul food
So that's
place?
our first date to the soul.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no, look at this
Money.
thing.
I'm sorry.
Would you want to play tennis against Serena Williams, even though she's super pregnant?
No, that's an unfair advantage.
But she's pregnant?
No, nigga, that is Serena Williams. Oh, hold on, you got no blow-up tent? I'm thinking, you know, we gonna have some tents, you know what I'm saying, though? But nah, man, bruh pulled 2 trees, tied them down to some rocks.
That's our bedding. That's gonna be, that will spread it out.
Hold on, I don't get my own? Bear be tripping on mamas.
I'm on Lipitor. That's my drug of choice. Lipitor. Get yours today. I get free money that way.
I don't even know what Lipitor is.
Me neither, but I like this
You
town.
guys are
You
athletes.
get free money for Lipitor?
You're an athlete.
Lipitor.
You don't know what it
Get yours
is.
today.
Gronk, you can't just say
Get yours
Lipitor and
today.
get money from a Lipitor.
What was the best advice someone gave you?
To stay in school and don't do drugs.
Damn director can't even damn direct your own damn self through the goddamn mother drills. Who told you to drop? You know what? You see that sign down there? We're cutting my mother corner, son. 2 feet, mother. Nigga, I said until I get tired. Swim to Alcatraz, mother. Cheating ass mother. Back your ass up behind the line. Come on, bud. Where the you going? If this was Dragon Ball Z, nigga, I wouldn't even feel your energy.
This is incredible.
It get real. It get real in the field.
Finish him.
Oh! See, look, man, I'm gone. I ain't even sure all that. That's nasty, man. Come on, Hennessy, yeah. Y'all tripping, man.
Did you ever play any sports besides football?
Yeah, I tried a few. I ran track, played basketball, played baseball.
And we are back with the Rick T Podcast, episode 38, hour 3 upon us. We're talking March Madness and NBA. Yeah.
Contaré la historia de una famosa persona. Todos la conocen con el apodo de Chona. Todos la conocen con el apodo de Chona. Su marido dice ya no se casa con ella. Diario va a los bailes y se compra una botella. Diario va a los bailes y se compra una botella. Se arranca la bata con la primera canción. Y la Chona luego busca bailador. Y la Chona luego busca bailador. La gente la mira y le empieza a gritar.
Jam, bro.
Chona, nadie te puede igualar. Bravo, Chona, nadie te puede igualar. Y la Chona se mueve y la gente le grita. Lo mejor que la Chona.
I'll be jamming to that shit in the car. You guys don't even know about it. Hour 3 on the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. We are talking March Madness, the Sweet 16, going into the Elite 8, man. It's going to be good, man. Lisa Gibson, I absolutely love Beast Mode. Who doesn't? That dude is funny. That dude is hilarious, bro. 10 out of 10. Big Blue Jay said 10 out of 10. Are you talking about Beast Mode? Or are you talking about my dancing? Because that was outstanding in my opinion. I was killing it. But let's do our thing, man. We are back, man. Shout out to EDub 8045. Won the free t-shirt last week for having the best call-in, man. So we are doing call-ins in hour 3 as well. Call into the show at any time with any comments, questions, or topics you would like to discuss at 719-210-3563, man. Jello, let's get right into it. Nephew, you're silly as hell, boy. I try, man. We just try to have fun here on the Rick T Podcast, man. But let's talk about it, bro. March Madness, yesterday's games, man. Oregon State took on Loyola Chicago to beat them 65-58. So a Pac-12 team is in the Elite 8. A lot of people bet on Loyola Chicago to come out on top. I did as well. Didn't think Oregon State could do it, but they did it. So shout out to Oregon State. Baylor took on Villanova. It was a good game, ranked 1 versus ranked 5. But Baylor did come out on top as many people expected, 62-51, won that by 11 points. Arkansas takes on Oral Roberts. Everyone expected Arkansas to just blow these guys out the water, but they did only win by 2. So it was a great game. If you guys watched it, came down to the wire. It was an exciting game to watch, but Arkansas moves on to the Elite 8 as well. And then this next game, absolute blowout. Everyone expected it. Syracuse versus Houston. Syracuse is a good team, but Houston is a great team. This Houston team will probably be in the finals. They will probably be defending their version of the championship of their own against whatever team goes against them, man. So those were yesterday's game. Oregon State, Baylor, Arkansas, Houston all move on, man. It's going to be crazy who's going to fill the rest of the bracket. Those games are today, Sunday. We have Creighton versus Gonzaga. A lot of people are betting Gonzaga. I am as well. I think Gonzaga has this one 28-0. I don't see Creighton beating them now. But Creighton is a good team. Florida State at Michigan, 4 versus 1. I got Michigan in this one, but I do think Florida State will put up a fight. A lot of people have Florida State having the upset here against Michigan. UCLA versus Alabama. This is probably going to be the best game of the night, in my opinion. UCLA, always a good basketball school, 20-9 against Alabama, who a lot of people didn't think they had a basketball team, and they're showing now that they have a football team and a basketball team. So they're 26-6, ranked 2, going against UCLA. I think that'll be a great game, but I do have Alabama coming out on top in that one. And then we got Skull Ducks, baby. We got my Ducks. You already know my Ducks are playing basically in the Pac-12 championship again against USC, bro. USC is a great basketball school. They are ranked higher than us, better record than us. But Oregon, man, we have some ballers. We have some players who are NBA ready. I've been hearing a lot of good talk about the Oregon Ducks men's basketball team. Shout out to Oregon, man. I think we have this one. I'm always going to ride with my Ducks no matter what situation we're in. I did not even think we'd make it this far, but now that we are this far, I'm riding with the Ducks all the way, Jello. So do you have anything to say about yesterday's games or today's games, man?
I mean, I am surprised by the Oregon State win at that point. I mean, I get it's only 7 points, but still, Chicago is such a good defensive team there that I'm surprised they lost that game. And no surprise with Baylor. Arkansas only winning by 2. I think that's just going to show for their struggles coming into the future here. And Houston winning was not a surprise there, as well as Syracuse has been playing. That's no surprise Houston pulled it out. But, I mean, for most part, it's going to be Zaga, Michigan, Alabama winning. I think you're going to have a good game with Oregon and USC, but in the end, I think Oregon will pull this one out. If they play anywhere close to how they did against Iowa, I think they can pull this out, no doubt.
That's what I'm saying.
And we'll just have to wait and see how this goes. So we just got a few hours till they start, and we'll go from there.
See, and I'm not going to be biased for anyone who's watching who's a USC fan, whether it's Tony, whether it's anybody who's watching. USC has a great team, and I'm actually really worried about this whole game. You know what I mean? Oregon versus USC. We always end up versus USC in the end. Probably easy the best 2 teams in the Pac-12 in most sports. But like Jello just said, if we play anywhere near the ability we played against Iowa, this game is ours all the way. Iowa is going to be our biggest challenge. But then we have another challenge right on the other side of us. You know what I mean? I'm calling your mom to make sure you're my child. I am your child. I just love Mexican music. Don't judge me. Little J6 says Oregon is winning it all. Sco Ducks, baby. Let's get it, baby. Oregon's going to go far. I didn't think we'd make it this far, but we did. So shout out to Oregon, man. Like I said, those are the teams who are already in it. Baylor plays Arkansas on March 29th, which is draft night. So, on Monday, March 29th. Oh, no, April 29th is draft night. I was like, damn, bro, the same night as draft night. That's horrible. But Baylor plays Arkansas on March 29th, and then Oregon State plays Houston on March 29th as well. That is not going to be a good game for Oregon State, but let's see if they can pull out another upset, man. But like I said, who's going to take the games today? So this is all Colorado time. Gonzaga plays Creighton at 12:10 p.m., so that should be coming up here soon. Florida State plays Michigan at 3 p.m. UCLA plays Alabama at 5:15 p.m., and Oregon plays USC at 7:45 p.m. So like I said, this is all Colorado Mountain time. Wherever you're at watching the show from, wherever you're at watching the game from, just base the times off of the time zone that you're in. You know what I mean? But like I said, Sco Ducks, who's going to win? Who's going to make it to the round of 8, the Elite 8, man? It should be good. But March Madness is heating up. We will be watching that, and it is getting crazy, man. But moving on to the NBA, bro, I do want to just show today's games, and then we'll get into some news and stuff that I've been hearing around the NBA, bro. So today's games, this is also Colorado time. We have the Suns versus the Hornets, which should be actually a really good game. The Hornets are sitting at 4 in the East, and the Suns are sitting at, I think, 2 or 3 in the West. So it's going to be a great game. That's at 11, so that's happening right now. Trailblazers take on the Raptors. Should be also a good game. That's at 5 p.m. Hawks take on the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are a 4.5 favorite. That's at 7 p.m., so 9 p.m. Eastern. And then the Magic take on the Lakers, which should also be a good game because both teams are doo-doo right now. And that happens at 8 p.m., man. So, Jello, I just want to get into some news. You're the basketball guy, so let's talk a little bit of news, man. The Brooklyn Nets just keep adding pieces. The same month that the team added Blake Griffin following a buyout with the Detroit Pistons, it did the same thing with LaMarcus Aldridge after its exit with the San Antonio Spurs. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reported Saturday that Aldridge plans to sign with the Nets, man. So what do you think about this whole thing, bro? Do you think the Brooklyn Nets are just unstoppable? And I actually seen a report today that Boogie Cousins is even looking to sign there. So what do you think about this?
Well, but
Yeah, and Andre Drummond. So what do you think
Drummond's
about
not going to happen with the Nets, but you got to look at this too. A lot of these guys are way past their prime, like Aldridge, for example. I think all these guys together won't succeed as much as people think. I'm not saying the Nets aren't great because you have Harden, Kyrie, and Durant alone that will hold that team up. But, I mean, adding someone like Aldridge I don't think is a huge deal. Same with Griffin at that point. The other guy's DeAndre Jordan. I don't think that's huge. You still have Joe Harris. But I don't think it's as big as people think it is. I mean, this man's been in the league for many, many years at this point. So he's not going to be a difference maker like people think he's going to be.
My thing is just like, I get you want to go somewhere and win a ring, but why is all these players going to the same team in one of the worst conferences in basketball? Like, they want to just win it for free. It kind of seems like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, James Harden, KD, all that. Let me just go and ride their coattail, get a ring, and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Why wouldn't you at that point? A few of these guys are close to retirement. AE, Jordan, and Aldridge. So why wouldn't you go to a team that's almost a sure bet to win a championship? I would. Shit, at that point, I've made my money. Now I just want a ring before I retire. So why wouldn't I do it at that point?
I can see it. Jay says all this just to beat a 36-year-old man. The king is the GOAT. The king is out for 5 to 6 weeks. And we'll talk on that in a minute, man. But we'll move on to the next topic. And I completely agree with you. I mean, I hope it doesn't do too much for the Nets that LaMarcus Aldridge and all these players are signing there, because being a Celtics fan, number 1 team, Nuggets, my number 2 team, it's tough for both of my teams. You know what I mean? It's a tough road. It's not like we have the best of the best. We have long roads ahead of us, but we're just clawing and fighting to get into the top of the playoffs. You know what I mean? Try to get a good seed, man. So hopefully LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't add that much firepower to the Nets. I agree with you to where I don't think he will. But we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. Next one, I want to talk about Doc Rivers, man. Doc Rivers may no longer be the coach of the LA Clippers, but he still thinks the Western Conference will be defended by his old team and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Philadelphia 76ers coach faded his former team on Saturday for the first time since being let go after the Clippers' 3-1 series meltdown against the Denver Nuggets in the second round of playoffs. And although he says the Clippers aren't running much that different from when he was calling the plays, Rivers says the Clippers and the Lakers are still the favorites and teams to beat in the West, Jello. So I'm asking you, do you think that is still the case? You know, the Lakers are kind of trash right now. No AD, no LeBron. The Clippers have kind of been on a high-low roller coaster. They have a good seed, but the Lakers do not, man. So do you agree with Doc Rivers saying that the Clippers and Lakers still kind of run the West, that those are the teams to beat to kind of get anywhere?
I don't think so. You still have the Jazz at your number 1. The Suns are doing really good. You still have teams like the Nuggets, for example, who just added some insane depth to their rosters. So, I mean, the Lakers are injured, but that's what happened. They're older. It's bound to happen. And overall, it just shows they don't have much depth when it comes to their bench. Gasol's not your shooter. Harrell's not your shooter. Kuzma is from time to time. And the Clippers are very inconsistent across the board. I mean, Paul George can't have 2 back-to-back consistent games at this point. So I don't think when it comes down to the end of it, I think they're not going to make it far. They're going to get taken out. Once again, it's all best of 7. So you have to make it through. You have to win 4 games to call it good. And I don't
You don't got to be consistent 7 in a row, but you got to be consistent 7 win or at least 4 wins out of the 7 games. You know what I'm saying? So I agree. The Denver Nuggets showed that last year against the Clippers. Down 3-1, came back and just boom. You know what I mean? Did crazy things.
Same thing to the Jazz. First time ever a team's been down 1-3 and came back and won
multiple times, bro. That was like where you guys were comfortable. Every time Denver got down 3-1, it was like me, you, and Tony were like, all right. Now let's get the series started. Every other team were like, okay, we're up 3-1, but something tells me I don't like this. Like, something tells me this is a bad idea to be up 3-1. We should have let them win at least one more. Like, screw that. But hey, it'll be interesting to see how the Clippers and Lakers kind of handle their ups and downs going through the end of this year. You know what I mean? But let's move on. Something I want to talk about, man. Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum scored 20 of his 27 points in the second half of the Boston Celtics rallied in the fourth quarter to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-94 on Saturday night, so last night. Jaylen Brown added 25 points to help the Celtics close out a 4-game trip and even their season record. Boston had lost 5 of 6, winning at Milwaukee on Friday and Oklahoma City on Saturday. We feel good, Celtics guard Marcus Smart said. We don't feel great. We don't like where we're at. We're not complacent. We're not done. We're not satisfied. This is just a start for us, man. So my question to you, Joe, is do you think that the Celtics, being where they're at, this is where they're at in the playoff spot. They're at 7, at 23-23. They're fighting. They're at least 1 or 2 games away from the 4th spot with Charlotte. Do you think that if they play, man, or if they don't play, that they could easily be at a good spot in the playoffs or out of the playoffs in general? What do you think of the Boston Celtics, man? What do you think on them?
I mean, a lot of that's so close. And don't we have a bet going for what the Hornets are doing right now?
We do. I'm a little pissed about it.
But, I mean, it's very close. I mean, look at the fact that, what was it, you're 5th seed down, even your 4th seed. Yeah, they're 2 games over. New York's 2 games over. You have the Hawks and yourself. I mean, there's so many teams that are so close. There's still plenty of basketball left for this to change. But I think the big thing the Celtics are struggling with, just like quite a few teams in the league, is inconsistencies. This is my thing, is like you could have a couple guys score points, but your team gives them more, and that's what's going to happen. The Celtics are a very good offensive team, and what I think they struggle in is defense, which is why I think they should have gone for someone like Vucevic and stuff like that. And then they gave up Daniel Theis, which wasn't offensive, but defensively, the man was good. But overall, I mean, that's just the biggest thing in the end of it is a lot of teams, a lot of inconsistencies. Some are picking up better than others. So we still got plenty of basketball. So, I mean, things could change drastically for all we know. Boston could end up in 1st place for all we know. We won't know until we know, kind of thing.
Exactly.
But they have a lot to work on. They really have a lot to work on overall, though.
Oh, it'll be super, super interesting to see how things go and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Last topic in the NBA, LeBron James, man, over the course of his career, LeBron James has had more than 25 ankle sprains, says his manager on the Dunked On podcast recently. Most of the time, LeBron James doesn't even miss a game. His ability to play through ankle sprains is a thing of a legend. His current high ankle sprain is different. He has already missed 2 games, 3 after Thursday nights. And he's recent reports had LeBron James missing several weeks. Now Shams Shantara of the Atlantic has more specific timelines. She's saying 4 to 6 weeks that LeBron James is supposed to be out. And I believe there's only like 24, 25 games left.
Yep.
That's a lot of time for where they're at. You know what I mean? At 29-17, with 2 teams at 27-18 right behind them. And then those other teams are only 4 or 5 games right behind them. They could potentially keep losing and knock themselves out of playoffs. So, man, what do you think about the whole LeBron James missing 4 to 6 weeks? I think Anthony Davis is out for 2 to 3 more weeks. They're in the pressure. So what do you think the Lakers should do, or what do you think will happen?
I mean, they should have done better picking up players at this point. I said this at the beginning of the season. Just because there's a big name doesn't need there to be a big factor. Same thing with the Nets right now. A lot of these guys are past their prime, i.e. Marc Gasol at that point. They're not big scorers, and that's the thing. They rely so heavily on LeBron and Anthony Davis that I'm not surprised they got hurt. They don't have a lot of depth. They really don't. I know there's Lakers fans out there that'll argue with me all day on this, but they don't have depth. You have LeBron, you have AD, and a bunch of guys that are supposed to get them the ball. And now that they're out, it's kind of like a shit show out in LA right now. So I think they're good to continue to lose. Look what they lost 7 in a row when AD first went down. And now LeBron is out as well. I don't see them doing much. I don't think it'll knock them out of playoff contention, but I definitely think it'll drop them for sure.
I completely agree. I hope for LeBron's and AD's sake that they get back on time with the record that at least even if they're the 8th seed, at least they're in playoffs. But I hope they do not get knocked out of playoffs. I hope the Lakers, Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, all those other players that are playing for them can hold it up. I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm not a real big Western Conference fan. You know what I mean? I'm not a bandwagoner, but the Lakers are interesting to watch. I want to see them in the playoffs. I want to see LeBron back in the playoffs because it's like watching Tom Brady in the playoffs. Like, it's interesting. You like to see the story. You like to see what he does. That's where he's most comfortable. You want to see if he can get knocked off his throne in playoffs. You want to see that. You want to see if someone can do it. So I want to see the Lakers in playoffs. I hope LeBron and AD can get back on time with the Lakers having at least that 8 spot. I don't see them moving up any higher than what they're at now, which what they're at now is, I believe, the 4 spot. I don't see them moving any higher than the 4 spot. They're 2 games away from the Clippers. The Clippers have their players. I don't see Phoenix and Utah going on a losing streak anytime soon, but I do see San Antonio, Portland, and Denver still doing their thing. I think they're going to be challenging for that number 7 or 8 spot with Dallas and Memphis. I think that order will be coming down too. Hopefully the Lakers can do it though. You know what I mean? It's going to be really, really, really interesting, bro.
Oh yeah.
But that's all we really have right now on the Rick T Podcast, episode 38, until next week when we come back on Saturday night. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. Next week, the episode 39 of the Rick T Podcast will be on Saturday, April 3rd, and not on Easter Sunday, the 4th. We wanted to give you guys your guys' Easter Sunday with your families and kids if you have them, and do your thing on a Sunday morning. So we don't want to take up 2 to 3 hours of your guys' Easter Sunday. And it's my girl's birthday, so I'm gonna be doing things with her, be doing special things with her. So it's gonna be interesting to see how our Saturday night show goes on April 3rd instead of April 4th. So like I said, mark your calendars, and next week it will not be on Sunday morning, it will be on Saturday night. We'll try to make it the best show we can possibly make it. Do not want to take up your guys' Easter Sunday. So like I said, next week, episode 39 of the Rick T Podcast will be on Saturday, April 3rd, and not on Easter Sunday, April 4th, man. So mark your calendars down, next Saturday, not next Sunday, man. The Talk Your Talk show is being moved to Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. My daughter just started gymnastics, so her gymnastics is on Tuesday nights. Can't do Tuesdays anymore for the Talk Your Talk show. So we're just going to move it one day, 30 minutes later, to Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So the Talk Your Talk show will still be happening. It will just be moved one day over, man. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Rick T Podcast. Another thing, episode 40, and this is episode 38, episode 40 of the Rick T Podcast will be the last episode of season 2, season 1. Season 2 starts April 18th, man. So it'll be right before the draft show. The draft show will be a part of season 2, and we will have a live performance from a DJ opening up season 2. It's going to be dope. So definitely be excited for all the changes and stuff we're making on season 2, which is only going up from here. We're going to be better. We're going to be doing our damn thing. It should be a lot of fun though on season 2, man. We'll get a lot of stuff happening, bro. Jello, you got anything else for the people before we get out of here, bro?
The same thing as usual. We appreciate you guys. Let's keep this going. Let's grow this thing. And what you guys help us, we help you. So let's do this together. Thank you guys.
Yes, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. We are live every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, except for next week. We are live on Saturday nights. Stay tuned on social media and Twitch and stuff for times and stuff like that. Also, definitely go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and follow and subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch to keep updated with all the Rick T Podcast and Talk Your Talk changes, man. Like I said, everybody, thank you. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Rick T Podcast, episode 38. We couldn't have did it without you guys. We're going to keep grinding, keep going. Season 2, April 18th. Talk Your Talk moving to Wednesday nights. And next week's episode is on Saturday night, man. So stay tuned with our Rick T Podcast. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Jello, I'll catch you later. See you next week, brother.
Under the moonlight, hop on the dance floor, see if you move right. Inside a couple, girl, I love the way your body rolls. Speed it up when I tell her she gon' move it slow. We have one down, I won't sit down. You gotta get it, country like you know I'm with it. Yeah, live staples, we made it straight to the top, and they hate it. Shout out to Dave when you said it. We from the country, but we hit the track right now. On the floor, to the beat, yeah, they playing your thing. Working all night. Up the road, can we get lost? Can we get lost? Track right now. On the floor, to the beat, yeah, they playing your thing. Working all night. Take it, we get lost. Can we get lost? I'm crazy when I'm choosing, I'm hot. I'm in this spot. Listen, we won't stop.